Mu Qingming spoke calmly. After this war is over, I hope Taoist Tianwu will voluntarily withdraw. The holy sect will protect the Chun family until they nurture a nascent soul realm cultivator. Chun Sansi had long anticipated what the other party would discuss. He did not directly refuse but simply said, "Today's matters end today. Tomorrow's matters will be discussed tomorrow. This issue is like spiritual grain. Let's talk about it later." Mu Qingming suddenly said, "If it were me, I wouldn't want to withdraw either." Chun Sansi met his eyes. Mu Qingming smiled faintly. "Taoist Tianwu need not hide your thoughts. It's quite normal. With a land of an entire continent and emperor's breath soil, sealed off from outside interference, who wouldn't want such an ideal environment? Why should it be handed over to others? If there is no desire to compete or seize, there would be no reason to tread the long immortal path to contend for the great Tao. I have investigated your life, and I admire your talent, character, and style. If possible, I'd be very willing to become friends with you. But alas, we have completely opposite positions. Even if we were friends, knives and swords might still come out against each other in the future." Taoist Mu is certainly forthright. Chun Sansi asked, "I just don't know. What do you mean by positions? I cannot guess what thoughts are in your mind." Mu Qingming paused. "But I can honestly tell you, I will always firmly stand with the holy sect Kungsu and heavenly water righteous path." "Then I can tell Brother Mu." Chun Sansi spoke deeply. "I will absolutely not destroy the peaceful world that tens of thousands of brothers sacrificed their lives to create." "I guessed as much." Mu Qingming stood up. "However, I must remind Brother Chun. After the seal on Eastern continent was shaken, it is no longer invulnerable. I hope you recognize reality early and stop futile resistance. Do you know what I'd do if I were you, Brother Chun? I'd abandon everything, seek a place for solitary cultivation, and focus on improving my strength. If 100 years isn't enough, then 1,000 years. If that's not enough, then 10,000 years, until I am strong enough to suppress all enemies." Upon hearing this, Chun Sansi merely smiled indifferently. "Oh," Mu Qingming asked with great interest. "What do you mean, Taoist?" Everyone knows Mu Qingming is the contemporary #1 cultivator of Sky-Water Continent and truly has immortal talent. Chun Sansi spoke eloquently. "I initially thought such a person should have a clear Tao heart and unobstructed thoughts, but now it seems merely a mediocre person." As a nascent soul cultivator, Mu Qingming didn't get angry at being belittled. Instead, he humbly sought advice from the core formation cultivator in front of him. "What insights does Brother Chen have? Please share them with me. Brother Mu believes that with my current core formation realm, opposing the heavenly water immortal sect is akin to an ant trying to topple a giant, courting destruction." Chun Sansi continued, "Therefore advising me to endure humiliation and find a place to hide for 1,000 years, 10,000 years until I ascend and come back for revenge. That would indeed be the most cautious approach, wouldn't it?" Mu Qingming added, "And given your qualifications, Brother Chun, I imagine your future height will be no worse than mine. 1,000 years, 10,000 years." Chun Sansi murmured repetitively, softly shaking his head. Has Brother Mu ever heard a phrase? Under his gaze, he enunciated each word slowly. 10,000 years is too long. Seize the day. Upon hearing this, Mu Qingming was stunned for a full 5 breaths and then, eyes full of respect, said, "What a 10,000 years is too long, seize the day. I understand your mindset now, Taoist. Indeed, more transparent and enlightened than mine. But rest assured, our Kungsu Saint sect always stands by its commitments, hard to recant. Even if you don't agree to withdraw from Eastern continent, in this battlefield of righteous and demon struggle, I, Mu Qingming, will ensure your safety. Farewell." He clasped his hands in salute and turned to leave. Watching the others back, Chun Sansi fell into contemplation. It's clear that the holy sect is already prepared to act against him after the righteous and demon war ends. Moreover, full of confidence, Chun Sansi suddenly thought of something. If the holy sect knows about the upcoming opening of the extreme north, then they can also likely guess he will enter the secret realm to find materials for forging the destructive spirit array. He slowly understood why so many core formation cultivators were brought in. To monitor him, the Holy Sect did promise not to send people to kill him in the short term, but it doesn't mean he won't be restricted in his actions. Especially, it's impossible to just let Chun Sansi repair the seal. I really can't continue like this. I must figure a way to escape. Nephew Mu, the highly senior Pei of the Heavenly Sword Sect, spoke. In a few days, the extreme north will emerge. What should we do about Tianwu? How about then we detain him and release him after the secret realm closes? All right. Mu Qingming accepted the suggestion. Central Army Tent. Your Majesty. Qi Chang blocked the entrance. The scholar has instructed that within 49 days and 7 periods, no one is allowed near the tent. Oh, Chun Sansi inquired. Are you casting some secret technique, perchance? He looked closely, but didn't detect any spiritual energy fluctuations through the tent. The scholar ordered not to reveal it. A death sentence for me, Qi Chang said with trepidation. Your Majesty, only 2 hours remain until the 49 days reach perfection. Please wait a little longer. Chun Sansi couldn't help but feel curious. That old scholar, a mere mortal, even if he could observe star formations, isn't capable of deploying a formation. Why is this taking so long? He had known him for dozens of years, naturally trusting him and knowing he wouldn't act without reason, attributing it to some special cause, thus refraining from forcibly rushing in. But Chun Sansi cannot continue staying in the camp. Otherwise, he might find it difficult to escape. He said, when Old Su calculates the secret realm's location, have the blue bird deliver a message to me. After providing instructions, Chun Sansi hurriedly left. He flicked his finger, retrieving a puppet from within his storage ring. Life-bound puppet. After years of nurturing, this puppet, whether in aura or appearance, was already identical to him. Once Chun Sansi sets up a formation, it can effectively deceive for a short time, preventing sect members from trying to detain or monitor him, blocking his entry into the secret realm. After properly arranging the puppet, he burrowed underground, leaving the border at maximum speed, arriving at a nearby mortal tavern. Zinan and Chu Lingchuan had been waiting there for a long time. Greetings, Your Majesty. She bowed and then handed over a storage bag. Your Majesty, everything you commanded this servant to forge is completed. Now presented for Your Majesty's review. Clang! Dragon abyss unsheathed. In an instant, sword chi surged like dragon roars. Oppressive murderous intent swept over, causing even the forger Zinan along with Chu Lingchuan to feel a shudder in their hearts. After melting the Songlong backbone scale gold, Dragon Abyss sword had ascended to a magical treasure. Its blade conceals Beidou 7 stars pattern, each star position embedded with complex array patterns. This ancient sword, during its refinement 1,000 years ago, borrowed the power of stars. Zinan explained, in this advancement, some of its concealed power of star formation seems to have awakened a portion. A weapon able to act as a growing-type magic artifact, initially forged without commonality, was merely powered down for ease of wielding. Next, the Longdan bright silver spear. After advancing, the triangular piercing gun tip glowed with a silver-blue chilling light, the gun blade surface etched with ancient times rune, its ridged grooves inlaid with red gold meteor iron wire, swinging it like a star river cascading, piercing sound akin to dragon roars. Chun Sansi casually swung it, and the gun blade left faint golden runes in the air where it cleaved, even with a thread of assault on divine sense accompanying. The Longdan bright silver spear left by his master was clearly no ordinary item either. Finally, the 100-deer-chasing moon bow. This bow and arrow is over 6 feet long, as tall as a person, and at first glance, it looks like 2 deer antlers pieced together. The bow arms exhibit the unique branching structure of deer antlers, with spirit light gathered at the end of each twig. The surface is engraved with chasing moon runes, and in the gaps between the runes are embedded meteorite fragments, sealed inside with the essence blood of the white spirit mystic deer, alternating light and dark with the holder's spiritual power. much like a brilliant star. As for the bowstring, it appears to be an extremely thin silver thread, seemingly ready to snap with a gentle touch. But in fact, the opposite is true. Chun Sansi placed a magic-eating cicada onto the bow and arrow, aimed at the full moon in the night sky outside the tavern, and slowly drew the bowstring. Buzz! In the instant he opened the bow, the entire bow and arrow seemed to come to life, emitting a long, trembling sound akin to a deer's call. The mana of Chun Sansi's golden core realm surged out from within him, all of it greedily absorbed by the bow and arrow in his hand. Immediately, the bow and arrow began to spread and grow like a tree, becoming lush and interwoven. Between every pair of antlers was connected by a cloud-seal demon-binding silk, allowing it to open the bow and release arrows individually. The entire bow and arrow had a total of 5 bowstrings, equivalent to 5 bows and arrows stacked and fused together. This is the 100-deer-chasing moon bow crafted from the essence wood of the green wood old demon. Your Majesty, in the storage bag, there are also some arrows crafted from magical treasure fragments, Zinan informed, but there are not many of them, only a little over 200, so please use them carefully, Your Majesty. Zinan, you've worked hard. Chun Sansi contentedly put away the bow and arrow and the magical treasures. Your Majesty's words are too heavy, Zinan replied nervously. Over the years, if not for the court's favor, how would I have today's cultivation? Moreover, not long ago, Your Majesty also bestowed a set of Void Star drawing refining skill, which is an immense blessing to me. The court will never mistreat anyone and will certainly fulfill its promises. Chun Sansi flipped his palm, placing a demon core into the silent Chu Lingchuan's hand nearby. Finally having his wish fulfilled, Chu Lingchuan was overjoyed. Thank you, Your Majesty. Find a place to retreat and cultivate well. And whether you can successfully form a core depends on your own fortune. Chun Sansi said, Zinan, you are in the late-stage foundation establishment, right? You should cultivate diligently, and the court will also prepare the core formation spiritual objects. Thank you, Your Majesty. Zinan bowed. After making all the arrangements, Chun Sansi left the tavern, disguised himself as Lu Shengji in a secluded spot, and then returned to the border garrison. Just as expected, he circled around the central army tent where he was, quickly discovering that at least 4 core formation cultivators were stationed there to keep an eye on him. If he had left a bit later, getting away would have been troublesome. Wang Jun. Chun Sansi looked towards the Shengyun sect disciples' camp and found an old acquaintance. This person was currently at the late-stage foundation establishment and had not yet formed a core. What is he up to? Chun Sansi noticed that Wang Jun was heading directly to the central army tent where his puppet was located. Dongfang Jingxing, who was in charge of guarding the entrance, along with 2 West Factory eunuchs, stopped him. Honorable sirs, Wang Jun bowed and said, I wish to see His Majesty Tian Wu. Could you please inform him? Dongfang Jingxing looked at him coldly. Oh! Wang Jun hesitated and took a storage bag from his sleeve, offering it to the eunuch respectfully. Inside, there is a talisman and some spirit stones. Please accept them. Dongfang Jingxing glanced at the storage bag and said indifferently, His Majesty is in secluded cultivation and cannot be disturbed by idlers. I truly have something important to report. Wang Jun earnestly pleaded, uttering a long string of flattering words. Please leave, Taoist. Dongfang Jingxing grew impatient. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. All right. Wang Jun retreated a few steps, then summoned an ugly bird with a body like dark iron from the storage bag at his waist. It was a cold iron bird, a spiritual beast of the profound body realm. The moment this bird appeared, the blue bird above the central army tent let out a piercing screech. Over 30 years ago, this cold iron bird had once injured the blue bird. Over the years, she had never forgotten, and now that they finally met again, her desire for revenge could no longer be contained. She began to seek her master's approval. Chun Sansi pondered for a moment and saw no issue. The cold iron bird had struck out at the blue bird first. He had a legitimate reason. If Wang Jun dared to resist, he could just kill him. This person was originally a disciple of an enemy faction, so even if he were killed, it wouldn't be considered unjust. Thinking of this, Chun Sansi was about to signal the blue bird to act, but then he saw what happened next. Wang Jun raised his sword and directly stabbed his long-life spiritual pet, the cold iron bird, to death, then shouted towards the camp where the heavenly martial puppet was. Wang Jun of Shangyun sect, here to apologize to His Majesty Tian Wu. I have never intended to oppose His Majesty Tian Wu. All that I did was out of necessity, and I have no real blood feud with His Majesty. Today, I kill my life-bound spiritual pet as an apology, and only ask for His Majesty's forgiveness. You! Dongfang Jingxing squinted his eyes. Even being able to kill your own spiritual pet shows you are a determined character capable of enduring humiliation. Upon hearing this, Wang Jun looked panicked and quickly explained, "Please don't say that. I am sincerely here to apologize to His Majesty and have no intention of plotting revenge. If His Majesty doesn't believe me, I can swear an oath to Heavenly Tao that I will never seek revenge for this feathered beast in the future." As he spoke, he truly made a Heavenly Tao oath. For a moment, even the blue bird was dumbfounded, not knowing what to do. "Your Majesty!" Wang Jun took out another storage bag and stuffed it into the chief eunuch's hand. Inside are some extremely rare heavenly materials and earthly treasure seedlings. I trust Your Majesty will find them useful, and I hope you'll graciously accept them. I shall no longer intrude. Farewell. Saying this, he didn't even give the eunuch a chance to return the items before using an escape technique to vanish. Chun Sansi watched the direction of his departure, admiring the man's character in his heart. Such determination in seeking the way. He is destined to achieve greatness in the future. Yet, given the sincerity of his apology and oath, it seems he truly has no reason to take action against him in front of so many people. Let it be. He had many troubles to deal with, the holy sect Chao Xie. Compared to them, Wang Jun was not exactly a life-and-death enemy, so he might as well set it aside for now. "You brat! Where have you been?" Chun Sansi was about to leave the place when a drunk voice called out from behind. Turning back, it was Mu Chutai. "Master," he asked, "is there anything you need from me? You're such a fool. If you were any slower, the dishes would be cold." Lord Taishan dragged him aside, pointing southeast. "More than half of the cultivators in Guangrendao have already gone to Yufeng Mountain." "I know." Chun Sansi calculated that the secret realm would open tonight. "But, Master, how did you know I was going to the extreme north?" Lord Taishan belched and said, "Nonsense, you're about to temper your golden body. You won't find spiritual objects unless you go to the secret realm. Can you expect them to grow from the ground?" "I understand, Master." Chun Sansi said, "I will go immediately." "That," Mu Chutai added, "watch over your senior sister, you know? Rest assured, Master, I will look after my senior sister." Chun Sansi decided not to waste any more time. But there's still a problem ahead. Where is the entrance to the secret realm? Old Su said he could find it, but there's been no sign until now. Chun Sansi looked towards the Prime Minister's camp, but decided not to wait any longer, leaving the blue bird to await orders while he headed straight for Yufeng Mountain. He could only go and see if other cultivators had found a way to the secret realm. It would be impossible for him to monopolize it, so why not take advantage of others? Inside the sealed camp, a gale suddenly arose. 77 and 49 eternal lights flickered incessantly, and Su Wenkai, dressed in a Taoist robe, sat in the central place. His robe billowing, hair and beard dancing wildly, yet unmoving. In his hand, a compass moved of its own accord, faster and faster, until it surpassed its limit, and with a cracking sound, shattered into countless pieces scattered all over the ground, extinguishing the candles in a swathe. Thud! Su Wenkai subsequently collapsed to the ground. "Sir!" Chi Chung, who had been waiting outside, seeing that 77 and 49 days had passed, quickly rushed inside. "Sir, are you all right? Come here. Quickly come here." Cough, cough, cough. A weak coughing sound echoed as Su Wenkai struggled to raise his arm, signaling not to make a fuss. "Sir." Chi Chung carefully helped the Prime Minister up, and the already old man's face turned paler in just a few breaths, appearing to age another 20 years, with hands that swiftly withered like dry wood. "Sir, what happened to you?" He looked at the mess on the ground, gradually forming a guess. "Is it the backlash from peering into the heavenly mechanism?" "It's not serious," Su Wenkai gasped intermittently. "I am but a mortal over 80 years old with not many years left. To capture a shred of the heavenly mechanism is indeed a divine skill." "So," Chi Ching asked, "did you find the entrance to the secret realm, sir?" Su Wenkai nodded. "I'll recite and you write." "Right away, right away." Due to his emotional upheaval, Chi Cheng's voice was slightly trembling as he hastily dug up brush and ink from the corner to record the method of entering the secret realm. "Sir, how is our great Han's national fortune? Earlier you mentioned your majesty is in danger. Have you found a way to resolve it?" Su Wenkai painstakingly revealed the solution. Chi Chung recorded everything. Looking at the brief words, he couldn't help but ask, "Where and when will these prophecies occur? And when should the method for resolving crises be used?" Su Wenkai merely shook his head, leaning against the table, his gaze somewhat cloudy. Peering into the heavenly mechanism, how difficult it is. To find a vague direction is extremely challenging. Whether or not danger can be averted ultimately depends on your majesty himself. "All right, I understand. I will personally deliver this to your majesty later. But first, let's get the imperial physician for the sir," Chi Chung said urgently. "Recently, your majesty has gathered some special treasure medicines from the cultivation world, which mortals can consume. It's said among them is 4,000-year-old ginseng. No matter how serious the illness, the innate qi in the ginseng can save lives. It's useless." Su Wenkai firmly grasped the corner of his disciple's robe. "When I was young, I traveled the world and left many chronic illnesses. My lifespan was already limited. The fact that I've lived this long is thanks to the various treasure medicines painstakingly collected by your majesty. And, furthermore, peering into the heavenly mechanism directly takes away my lifespan. How can a few medicines restore it? I've lived over 80 years, which is already considered a long life. No need to make much ado." Inside the camp, silence fell. For the first time in his life, Chi Chung experienced what it truly meant to be at a loss. In contrast, the great Han Prime Minister, Mr. Wulong, Su Wenkai, was calm, albeit hoarse. "Little Chungzi, can you pull open the tent flap so that the old man can have one last look at this world?" Chi Chung wiped his tears as he followed along. The heavy camp tent opened, and the starry sky scattered into the camp, illuminating Wulong's blue robe. Su Wenkai quietly gazed up at the heavenly star constellations, not knowing how long it was before he murmured softly, breaking the silence, "So fast. Yes, so fast." Thinking back 50 years ago, when he was in his 30s and had achieved nothing, for he had offended the local examiners and had never even managed to pass the exam to become a scholar his entire life. Others might fail the exams but at least could call themselves poor scholars. A small achievement in distinction, yet he was merely an old scholar. Due to lack of productive work and the cost of reading books consuming silver coin, the Su family, which was already struggling to make ends meet, became increasingly impoverished. His wife could no longer endure the days of hunger and cold, and thus eloped with someone, turning him into the laughingstock of the entire village. His father was so enraged he fell ill and never recovered. Later, when famine struck Pyong, his elderly mother secretly gave her last rations to him, still numbing himself with reading, and she starved to death on her bed without even silver coin for a gravestone. Su Wenkai was unwilling, so he traveled far and wide, hoping to meet a wise lord who could recognize talent, but unfortunately wasted half his life achieving nothing. Until despair upon returning to his old home in Pyong, he was taken as a soldier for failing to pay the tax silver. And Ding Prefecture's border guard at the Pyong left Army 1,000 households. Su Wenkai remembered distinctly, the designation not a word off. There, he met a young man, a young man willing to listen to him, a young man willing to entrust him with command of all the city's troops when barbarians were at the gates. From that moment, Su Wenkai knew he had finally met a discerning eye for his talent, his Boyu. Later, he became Mr. Wulong, a founding hero of the Great Han, assisting Your Majesty in unifying the realm, establishing a peaceful era, rising to the position of Prime Minister in the cabinet, beneath one person but above thousands. Even cultivators skilled in flying or earth tunneling must treat him with respect. No regrets, no regrets, no regrets. Su Wencai's vision began to blur, and he grasped his disciple's hand. Little Chengzi, you are naturally wise, with excellent cultivation talent. You are bound to achieve great things and accompany Your Majesty on a long journey. But I hope you always remember what you once said and know that wherever you go, you are always a scholar. Master, do not worry. Qi Cheng's pupils were red as if dripping blood, tears unabated. Yet he declared resolutely, Disciple will surely inherit Master's legacy, work tirelessly for the Great Han, and give my life. Under my bed, there is a book containing divine secret techniques for probing heavenly mechanisms. It is the last thing I can give you. However, cultivators who practice this will surely face divine retribution. The specifics you must see for yourself, and whether to choose to cultivate depends entirely on your own decision. At this point, Su Wencai's voice became as faint as a mosquito's. Little Chengzi, do you have a courtesy name? Qi Cheng choked and answered. Student is from a poor background, born in a war-torn land. Even the name was given by Master later. How could I have a courtesy name? Then let this old man give you another courtesy name. Su Wenkai struggled to say word by word. Boyu? How about it? Student bows in gratitude to Master for bestowing the name. With the nickname Young Qilin, Qi Cheng bowed to the ground, crying uncontrollably. After handling the final arrangements, Su Wenkai looked to the starry sky with relief. Just a pity I won't see the outcome of this great battle between righteousness and demons. My mission incomplete. As his voice fell, he gently closed his eyes, never to breathe again. In the autumn night of the 27th year of Tianwu, the Beidou 7 stars suddenly fell into chaotic order, and the Emperor star of the Ziwei constellation was shrouded in 3 layers of blood-colored halos, its starlight flickering like festering sores, with the middle star of the 3 towers extinguished in darkness. Yufeng Mountain. The blind woman stood atop the mountain with her sword, black silk covering her eyes, long hair gently dancing in the wind. Occasionally, a few dry leaves would be swept in the autumn breeze, brushing against her sword and robe. Senior sister. Chen Sansi hurried over. He glanced downward, noticing that a large number of cultivators had already gathered here. Qingshu Sex, Master Jihuan, Wuxing Sex, Ting Sonka, Joyo Alliance's Lin Shuzhou, Heavenly Sword Sex, Pei Ji, and many other core formation cultivators, along with quite a few family cultivators. Moreover, the number of nascent soul cultivators far exceeded just one. Aside from Mu Qingming, Heavenly Sword Sect had a female nascent soul cultivator who, by seniority, should be senior sister Chao Xie, named Rong Rojuan. Then there was a nascent soul cultivator from the loose cultivators as well. Additionally, you had to include the core disciples of various sects in the Foundation establishment realm, such as Shengyun Sect's Wang Jun. Cultivators from various factions combined numbered in the hundreds, all gathered here. According to the hour calculation, the secret realm should have already appeared. However, at this moment, everyone was wandering around like headless flies, clearly unable to find a way to enter the secret realm. Mu Daoist. Rong Rojuan descended slowly from the sky after probing in vain. How's it going? Mu Qingming shook his head. I merely know that Luoshao Immortal Palace will appear near Yufeng Mountain in the near future, but as to how to find the entrance and enter it, I have no knowledge at all. What about Master Dongwei? Rong Rojuan then looked towards the nascent soul cultivator from the loose cultivators. Do you have any methods? Master Dongwei was holding an observation compass in his palm, the spoon-shaped needle rotating continuously but never stopping. He clicked his tongue and said, This observation compass of mine also detects no traces. It's indeed peculiar. Rong Rojuan paced gracefully under the moonlit night. Logically speaking, the space transfer of the secret realm should create powerful fluctuations. Yet this area shows no movement at all, which is oddly strange. It's merely because we lack the right method. Mu Qingming opened his mouth and asked, "Do either Taoists know how they entered Luoshao Immortal Palace the last time it appeared?" "I was also there last time," Master Dongwei said in a deep voice. "The one who found the entrance to the secret realm was a mortal." "A mortal?" Rong Rojuan asked with interest. What could a mortal do in the dangerous Luoshao Immortal Palace? Calling him mortal isn't entirely accurate. He was a mortal martial artist who had only just entered Qi refinement on the immortal path. Master Dongwei paused and supplemented. "Oh right. That person was a disciple of the demon cultivator Gui Qi, who stirred quite the commotion years ago." "Gui Qi's disciple?" Pei Ji from the Heavenly Sword sect approached and said, "From the Eastern continent, right? What happened later?" "Old Lu." Master Dongwei called upon an elderly golden core cultivator. "You have some authority on this matter." The Lu family golden core cultivator took over and said, "That mortal was causing trouble, so I casually hit him with a spell. Strangely enough, he didn't die and managed to escape back to the Eastern continent." Fourth senior brother. As these cultivators did not deliberately conceal their discussion, Chun Sansi heard everything clearly. The mortal martial artist they spoke of was likely his fourth senior brother Fang Qingyun, who, after traveling to the extreme north, had his meridians destroyed. Chun Sansi glanced at the golden core cultivator with the surname Lu, estimating his power to be around the golden core middle stage. If possible, he should help his senior brother avenge this severed path. The conversation between the cultivators continued. Last time, the secret realm only opened for a brief duration, and we didn't truly enter it at all. Master Dongwei said, "Therefore, I don't have much reference advice. We can only try again based on memory." Hundreds of cultivators continued to work, each displaying their full abilities, using every method to find the entrance to the secret realm. Chun Sansi was also amongst them, but unfortunately, he didn't discover anything. After midnight, another golden core cultivator arrived with disciples, seemingly an elder from the Guiyuan sect. This elder directly found Master Dongwei and started communicating telepathically. Not long after, this nascent soul cultivator from the loose cultivators glanced in the direction where Chun Sansi was located. "He has murderous intent towards you," the blind woman sensed sharply. Chun Sansi had deliberately changed back to Lu Shengji's appearance, yet he still got targeted. It seems, the person behind this was truly willing to kill wrongly rather than miss. But with the secret realm about to open, he could not flee the scene. At least he had the identity of a Qingshu sect core formation cultivator to fall back on. Even nascent soul cultivators wouldn't dare to attack without reason. He could only take one step at a time. In a flash, another 2 hours passed, still unable to find the entrance to the secret realm. "Everyone," Mu Qingming's voice suddenly echoed through the mountains. "Does anyone know the method to search for the secret realm? In 6 hours, if the secret realm cannot be opened, it may migrate again. If we miss it, who knows how long the wait will be. So if any Taoist knows the method to open the secret realm, please do not keep it to yourself. Today, as Kungsu Saint, I promise that whoever finds the entrance to the secret realm first, the first treasure they encounter inside will belong to them." Upon hearing this, the cultivators all around the mountain became greatly enthusiastic. According to what they knew, this secret realm conservatively contained 4th-rank treasures and possibly even 5th-rank treasures. Obtaining even one randomly would be a tremendous aid for future cultivation. However, despite the hefty reward, no one made any discoveries. Time continued to flow, the east gradually lightening as dawn approached, leaving the cultivators tense as the 6-hour window dwindled. Chun Sansi noticed the distant blue bird soaring in the corner of his eye and transmitted a message to the blind female cultivator. "Someone's watching? I can't go far. Please, senior sister, could you make a trip over?" Jiang Xia quietly left, and when she returned, She had an envelope in her hand. Such a clever old scholar. Chun Sansi couldn't help but praise in his heart after seeing the contents of the letter. So many nascent soul cultivators couldn't solve this problem, yet old Su really managed it. The letter clearly explained the method to find the secret realm's entrance. Wait a minute. He continued reading and found a segment of astronomical records. The Emperor star in the Ziwei constellation was surrounded by 3 layers of blood-colored halos, displaying a situation known as Mars guards the heart. This Mars guards the heart, Chun Sansi knew, in simpler terms meant that he, as the great Han Emperor, might very well face a life-threatening danger. Following the astronomical interpretation, there was a phrase to avert disasters. Encounter soon and remain calm. Acquire returning hexagram 6-2. Reverse through Can's trap and hold Jun's thunder. Heaven extends 4-9. Evade 1 to create opportunity. This is... Chun Sansi frowned. The interpretation of star signs did not disclose specific time or location. So naturally, this phrase to avert disasters wasn't clear when it would be applicable. Su one-size level of divination regarding the star symbols that he trusted. 30 years ago, the old scholar had already divined that Huang Laojiu of Guyuan sect intended to kill him. The result was that 4th brother took his place. This time, Chun Sansi hoped that a similar situation wouldn't occur again. Moreover, even knowing that troubles and crises would follow, he had no thoughts of retreat. Or you might say, with the seal wavering, he indeed had no way to retreat. If a chasm was behind him, then he could only burn his bridges and move forward relentlessly. Flames ignited within Chun Sansi's palm, burning the letter to ashes, and then he soared into the sky, arriving in front of several nascent soul cultivators under the watchful eyes of many. Lu Shangji, 9 return real man of Qingshu sect shouted, "What are you up to? Seniors." Chun Sansi cupped his hands and said, "Perhaps I can find the secret realm entrance." "Oh." Mu Qingming was slightly surprised, then immediately spoke calmly, "Taoist, feel free to try." Chun Sansi wasted no time, instantly summoned a compass, channeled mana into it, and the compass soared into the sky. At this moment, the morning sun rose, scattering rays over the land, refracted by the compass, transforming into glaring light spots landing on a patch of mud 7 steps away from him. He spoke in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoists, this secret realm entrance is centered around the 9 Palace 8 trigram formation, relying on the geography of the area around Yufeng Mountain. Due to its vast range, we'll need assistance next." "Hold on," Master Dongwei interrupted, squinting his eyes and asking, "Is this young Taoist using the compass to locate the central palace?" To solve any formation related to the 9 Palace 8 trigram, the most crucial point is to locate the central palace. Once the central palace position is set, other positions can be determined. Indeed, Chun Sansi didn't deny it. Mu Qingming nodded. "How does this Taoist know that the central palace is around here?" For cultivators, the 9 Palace 8 trigram isn't difficult, especially those who dabble in formations, for whom the first lesson is the 8 trigram. But the problem is, they are where there's no indication or anomaly, so trying to pinpoint the central palace is akin to finding a needle in a haystack. Chun Sansi replied evasively, "This is my secret technique. Inconvenient to disclose, I request your understanding." In fact, the central palace position was directly divined by Su Wenkai. It's just unknown what side effects might come from such a method of peeping at heavenly secrets. "It was my impoliteness." Mu Qingming did not carry the airs of a nascent soul cultivator, merely gestured for him to proceed. "Taoist, please tell us how we can cooperate?" "Where 9 and tread 1, left 3 right 7, 2-4 as shoulders, 6-8 as feet." Chun Sansi stood firm at the central palace position and then said, "Please, fellow Taoists, expand outward 200 bailey from me, searching for 9 landmarks. Ken position should have a cold pool, Li position should have a red rock, Qian position should have a sword tomb, Kuan position should have stone statues. If these landmarks are found, the array plate or array patterns buried underground should also be found. 9 Palace Abyss door layout?" Mu Qingming recognized the origin of the formation, showing a look of realization while directing Golden Core Cultivators. Follow Lu Daoist's instructions. One by one, core formation cultivators transformed into lights of escape soaring into the sky. Shortly after, contacting each other to successfully find the cold pool and other landmarks, and at underground discovered long-dormant array patterns. At this point, it was almost certain this is the 9-palace abyss door layout. Though this formation is grand, it's not very complex. Many array masters know it and no longer need Chan Sansi's guidance. They each stationed at the 8 positions, then activated the formation with spirit stones. Suddenly, heaven and earth shook. Yufeng Mountain being the core, the surrounding hundreds of bays shuddered violently. The ground split open inch by inch. Beams of spiritual energy erupted from the earth, composing a vast 9-palace 8-trigram formation. Master Dongwei rose to midair, informing all of the method to break the great formation. All present, station evenly within the 8 gates. Rest, life, wound, obstruct, prospect, death, alarm, open. Stand at life gate, northeast Gen Palace main position. Recite Earth Mother spell. Death gate, southwest Kuan Palace main position. Must be above core formation. Sacrifice a drop of heart blood. Heart blood, being the essence blood of essence, containing a large amount of vital energy. Sacrifice would leave the cultivator in a state of exhaustion, meaning it's the end for this secret realm exploration. I'll do it. A core formation cultivator from Kungsu sect volunteered. Brother Ding, thank you. Mu Qingming bowed. On behalf of the cultivators from various sects here, I thank Brother Ding. Upon returning to the sect, I will surely inform Master for compensation. Hundreds of individuals working together, channeling mana into the formation beneath them. Amidst deafening loud noises, this 9-palace abyss door layout was finally broken. The mountain peak they stood on could no longer support the ocean-like surge of spiritual power and collapsed with a thunderous crash. Heavens suddenly darkened, clouds surged like ink. The entire Kangwu mountain emitted a low rumble, as if a primordial beast deep within the earth was tearing at its cage. The ridge-breaking moment, tens of thousands of huge rocks rolled like thunder, crashing into the valley, kicking up 100 meters of dust. At the cracked edge of the mountain, a pillar of ghostly blue light burst forth, piercing the 9 skies, within 10 bays incinerating flora and trees into black ash. Once the tremors subsided, an obsidian palace gradually rose from the fissure. The bronze bells hanging on the eaves rang without wind. The sound transformed into blood-colored runes etched into the void. On both sides of the palace doors stood 18 stone statues. The 9 statues on the left displayed cultivator jade statues, in hands holding extinguished soul lamps. The 9 statues on the right displayed demon beast crystal skeletons, bones embedded with corroded magic artifacts, blades covered with dry demon blood. The interior of the hall was filled with long-sealed magic artifacts. At its edges and corners grew all sorts of mysterious heavenly materials and earthly treasures. At the end of the palace stood a towering bronze giant door resting atop a blood jade base. Chilling white mist seeped from the door's cracks. Before the bronze door stood a lofty stone tablet inscribed with large characters, Luoshao Immortal Palace. It seems. Nascent soul female cultivator Rong Rojuan stared blankly at the tablet. This should be one of the relic venues of Luoshao sect from ancient times, dangerously close to severing nature's spiritual energy. Luoshao sect again. If Chun Sansi remembered correctly, the Geo-Forbidden Land was also Luoshao sect territory. This was undoubtedly good news for him. Previously in Geo-Forbidden Land, he had a conversation with the Guardian's residual soul, knowing the sealing spirit array was crafted out by Luoshao sect's hand. Even the all laws forbidden was an invention of Luoshao sect's immortal. This journey, if he could find the method to create sealing spirit array, not only could it resolve the sealing issue, but might also grasp all laws forbidden. The clear energy left behind by Mr. Mei is still stored within the prayer bead. Lu Daoist. Mu Qingming spoke. Thanks to you for locating the central palace position. It's possible for us all to enter this secret realm. As promised, Any treasure within sight here, you are free to choose one. No interference from anyone. Chun Sansi's gaze swept through the great hall. The rest of the cultivators all showed expressions of envy. Even the core formation cultivators were no exception. In a place where everyone could see, there grew a Zi Xiao Shan Xian vine, an extremely rare heavenly material and earthly treasure, which could be used to refine a breakthrough pill for the golden core realm. After the golden core, it's not only the nascent soul that is a bottleneck. Every step is as hard as climbing to the heavens. Therefore, a Zi Shaoshan Shen vine like this could potentially save a large amount of life essence, allowing a cultivator to touch the threshold of condensing a nascent soul. Just as everyone was eyeing it greedily, this young core formation cultivator from the Qingshu sect spoke up. Senior Mu, you mentioned only one thing earlier, not one item, correct? Mu Qingming quickly realized and smiled. No problem. As long as it's exactly the same thing. No matter how many pieces, it all belongs to Taoist Lu. This guy is cunning. Many golden core cultivators secretly cursed in their hearts. This guy actually came to play with words like this. In the Great Hall, there are many standard magical treasures, spirit plants, and even spirit stones scattered on the ground. If you choose any one and take it out, you might be able to exchange it for an astronomical amount of cultivation wealth. But unexpectedly, Chun Sansi came to the row of jade statues in front of the bronze gate and said, "If no one has any objections, I will take these statues." Statues? Everyone was stunned. Young Taoist, good eyes. Master Dongwei indifferently pointed out, these soul lamps held in the palms of the jade statues are made of Xianhuang thunder pattern copper, an excellent material for crafting magical treasures. Only then did the cultivators come to a sudden realization. Taoist Lu, feel free to accept it. Mu Qingming said, it rightfully belongs to you. No need to ask for my opinion. Chun Sansi waved his hand and collected the 9 jade statues into his bag. In fact, he didn't even recognize Xianhuang thunder pattern copper. The reason for wanting these statues was really just for the green crystal contained within them. In Skywall City, the immortal officials have long exceeded 10,000, but there have never been enough official seals. These jade statues have been very helpful. Sending them back to the court, it won't take long to forge 10,000 official seals and cast the Jade Emperor Sky Flipping Seal. 2 Taoists. Mu Qingming placed his hands behind his back. The remaining heavenly materials and earthly treasures in this great hall, how do you think they should be distributed? Hehe. Master Dongwei said, everyone present has contributed to opening this secret realm. So why not distribute them to each person according to their realm? Taoist Dongwei speaks reasonably. Rong Rojuan said gently, with the righteous and demonic war approaching, those of us on the same path should support each other rather than fight amongst ourselves. All right, then let it be so. Under Mu Qingming's direction, disciples of the holy sect began to manage the distribution, ensuring that everyone received some items. In no time, the entire Great Hall was emptied. This place, relative to the entire secret realm, is merely the entrance, yet it yielded such a great harvest, further arousing everyone's anticipation for what lies within. Each sect sent a group of cultivators to surround Yufeng Mountain to ensure the safety of the secret realm entrance. Taking this opportunity, Chun Sansi had the blue bird deliver the storage bag containing the green crystal to the people of the court. The great hall gradually quieted down. Everyone's attention shifted to the enormous bronze gate. This bronze gate stood over 10 feet high, its doors covered in ancient forbidden patterns that disrupted yin and yang, with door rings shaped like double-headed jiaolong. At the highest point of the bronze gate, there was a copper carving of a divine dragon with wings on its back. Ing Long Divine Beast. This Ing Long's 5 claws gripped the bronze gate itself, suppressing a copper-cast demon Jiao's dried bones beneath its claws. Its dragon tail entwined with 9 demonic sealing meteor iron chains, with the chain ends extending to the 9 palatial columns on either side of the gate, its hollow eyes gazing down upon the great hall with an aura of majesty. On either side of the bronze gate lay disorganized corpses. Judging by the bones, there were golden core, nascent soul, and even divinity transformation cultivators. Even after eons of weathering, The remnants of the divinity transformation cultivator still exuded an indescribable pressure that was hard to look directly at. The true Luoshao immortal palace should be behind this bronze gate. Rong Rojuan gently placed her white hand on the gate. Next, we need to figure out a way to open it. There's a mechanism. Master Dongwei walked in the air, staring at the Yinglong sculpture atop the bronze gate. On the back of the sculpture is carved a relief of the Beidou 7 stars pattern, but the stars Dubhe, Migres are vacant. It must need a key or something similar to open it. Mu Qingming looked at the recesses in the Dubhe and Migres star positions. Not impatient, he calmly asked, Taoist Lu, do you have any method? No. Chun Sansi shook his head. Any of the other Taoists? Mu Qingming looked towards the others, resulting in a silence. What a Luoshao immortal palace. Master Dongwei flicked his sleeve. One threshold after another, truly a headache. Clatter! Just as everyone was at their wits' end, countless vines suddenly spread from the edge of the great hall, like a swarm of snakes emerging from a hole. An ancient voice, accompanied by overwhelming demon energy, sounded. It seems you Taoists have run into some trouble. Would you like this old one to assist? Who? Master Dongwei frowned, mighty mana surging from his body, while he summoned a fan-shaped spiritual treasure. This fan was carved from 10,000-year-old Xianbing jade, etched with a golden sun pattern on its front, shimmering with a radiant glow. On its reverse, forged from netherworld Xian iron, it was as black as ink, with silver moonlight talismans appearing on its surface. The fan's ribs were based on the innate spirit wood Yin Yang Wu Tong, with 9 ribs inlaid with the 8 trigrams, and a Taiji pearl hanging from the end of the fan's handle, capable of rotating with the flow of spiritual power to balance Yin and Yang. Spiritual treasure. Qian Yuan Taiji Fan. This spiritual treasure is crafted in imitation of the spirit communication ancient treasure, Heaven and Earth 2E Fan. It's rumored that with a wave of the Heaven and Earth 2E Fan, one could directly return all the enemy's attacks. Master Dongwei relied on this imitation Qian Yuan Taiji Fan to make a name for himself in the cultivation world, becoming one of the few nascent soul-loose cultivators in the Skywater continent. It is I, the old man. A jiaolong made of twisted vine would coiled around the stone pillar in the hall, transforming into an elder with a beard and hair hanging down to his chest, none other than the greenwood old demon. Before everyone could react, a vast sky of white clouds covered the heavens and earth, as a 9-tailed fox descended from beyond the 9th heaven, transforming into a stunning barefooted woman. Bai Suyin, the female elder of the heavenly sword sect, Rong Rojuan, recognized the newcomer, holding a ruler, flowing from her wide sleeves in her hand. This spiritual treasure has a deep indigo surface, veiled with a flowing liquid star halo. Touching it feels like caressing the Milky Way. Within the halo, tiny space cracks occasionally appear, like remnants of star extinction, covered with silver star sand patterns, in secret alignment with the circulation of the stars in the sky. Spiritual treasure, void-shifting ruler. Isn't this Miss Rome? The 9-tailed fox demon slightly narrowed her long phoenix eyes, the ends curved like a crescent moon, her gaze seemingly shrouded in a layer of rippling mist, her vision entwining the other like a hook, with a hint of playful scrutiny. Have you still not formed a true union with that true monarch of all methods? They say a woman's pursuit of a man is like a veil. Why doesn't it work for you? Need this sister to teach you a few secret techniques to capture Mr. Chow's heart. You flirtatious fox. Rong Rojuan's face was icy. My junior brother has a single-minded pursuit of the Tao, unlike you beasts, thinking of nothing but those sordid matters every day? Boom! Before her words had settled, a gale carrying a dense stench rose in the hall, dispersing the prior white clouds into nothingness, as the figure of a mountain king as tall as over a zhang and as mighty as a mountain came into view. His throat rumbled with low growls, and as his nostrils flared, he exhaled a hot and foul breath. Evil chi, intertwined in black and red, surged around him, withering and turning all vegetation to ashes at his feet, and the ground seeped a dark red swamp of blood. where countless Chang ghosts wailed and struggled in the mist. Under the dense mob of Chang ghosts, his body gradually stood upright, beast fur transforming into red short hair like steel needles, claws retracting into human-like fingers but still retaining pitch-black sharp nails, revealing a rugged masculine face beneath the ripped tiger skin. The tiger demon spoke. Every word he uttered caused the ground beneath his feet to crack in a web-like pattern. "Is Chun Lei here?" Buzz! The Kungsu Saint Heir, Mu Qingming, swung his arm, and the crowd only saw a flash of lightning in the hall's sky. Then it was pulled down and grabbed in his hand, transformed from a long whip to a long mace. This long mace exhibits a hard, cold luster intertwined with dark silver and deep purple, covered in scales-like patterns forged by lightning. Along the edges of each scale, faintly appeared arcs of cyan and blue lightning, reminiscent of the residual marks after a Jiaolong shed its skin from a thunderbolt. Spiritual treasure, Thunderbolt's soul-suppressing whip. In just a few breaths, 3 transformed demons suddenly appeared outside the bronze gate, causing the 3 nascent soul cultivators of the righteous path to also summon their respective life-bound spiritual treasures. Mr. Geng. Mu Qingming stared into the slightly golden eyes of the tiger demon, whose murderous aura could tear apart a divine soul, and said in a deep voice, "Why do you seek Chun Lei? That person killed my nephew." Geng Kinmao scanned the surroundings but didn't find the target and wanted to leave, only to be intercepted by the Saint Heir, gritting his teeth as he said, "Kid, you dare block me?" "Mr. Geng." Mu Qingming raised the Thunderbolt soul-suppressing whip horizontally, emotionlessly stating, "Chun Lei is now an ally of our holy sect. You cannot act recklessly." "Foolish tiger." The nine-tailed tiger demon, by Suin, scolded, "Did you forget why you came? Handle the business first, and the revenge can be settled later." Geng Kinmao impatiently said, "Where's that group of Zhao Rui? Why aren't they here yet? I apologize for my lateness. Please forgive me, gentlemen." A clear voice rang out, and on the left side of the bronze gate, a gust of Yin wind blew as a figure dressed in a bright yellow dragon robe, with a crown on his head, appeared. This great Song Emperor, with shriveled dark red skin clinging to his bones, wearing bronze armor over his joints, sharp black nails like blades on his 10 fingers. His joints adorned with jade inscribed with turquoise, and his eye sockets igniting 2 points of ghostly green phosphorescent fire, released Yin Qi that even made core formation cultivator's hair stand on end. Nascent Soul Corpse Puppet. Great Song Spirit Sect. After the ninefold heavenly tribulation, it was the Emperor of Spirit Sect who successfully ascended to become an unconscious nascent soul puppet. Behind the Spirit Sect was a young man in a crimson dragon robe, wearing a winged hat with a proud spirit, who was none other than the great Song Emperor Tianxi, Zhao Rui. Following closely were 2 nascent soul demon cultivators. One had a shadowy visage, dressed like a Jianghu knight, while the other was short in stature, resembling a dwarf. For a moment, the righteous, the demons, and the monsters, 9 nascent soul cultivators, gathered here, confronting each other. Numerous golden core and foundation establishment cultivators retreated nervously. If the 9 nascent souls were to start fighting, these people would likely suffer. "It seems," Master Dongwei sneered, "you demons and monsters have planned together to seize this secret realm?" "Quite the contrary." Zhao Rui placed one hand behind his back. "I and Taoist Qingmu and others are here to assist you." Qingmu Jiaolong spread his palm, revealing a black jade stone. "This is the celestial Dipper Star Stone. Without me, how would you open the bronze gate?" "Do not even think about it," Master Dongwei scolded. "You crooked demon and evil paths, do you also wish to covet the treasures of the immortal palace? Although I am a loose cultivator, I would never agree." Meanwhile, Sky Sword Sect's Rong Rojuan was already accumulating mana, ready to strike at any moment. "Why not heed a word of advice from me?" The nascent soul dwarf stepped out of the shadows, smiling. "The 9 of us have similar strength. If we start fighting, it won't end quickly, and if the entrance is accidentally destroyed, nobody will get what's inside. Therefore, Why not first cooperate to open the bronze gate? And once inside the immortal palace, use our own skills to get the treasures? One sentence. The tiger demon Gung Ken Mao said deeply, either let us in, or nobody gets in. Master Dongwei began to hesitate. Taoist Mu, what do you think? I agree with Taoist Zhao. Under everyone's gaze, the Kungsu saint put away the thunderbolt soul-suppressing whip and spoke in a calming tone. Instead of mutual destruction here, it's better to first open the secret realm. Young Master Qing Ming indeed sees the bigger picture. The nine-tailed fox demon parted her red lips. Her voice as sweet as a moonlit spring touched with honey. Even before she spoke, a light laughter like silver bells spread, and each syllable was surrounded by demonic power ripples, enveloping the saint air. Mu Qingming slightly frowned, using protective mana to block the invisible ripples. Mister, if you keep using these tricks, don't blame me for turning hostile. Hee. Suyin said softly. This girl was merely joking. Taoist Mu wouldn't really be angry, right? Stop the nonsense, Master Dongwei urged. Immediately use your methods to open the gate. Saying this, the righteous cultivators stepped back, clearing a path. The greenwood old demon and Zhao Rui flew forward, arriving above the Ying Long statue, each placing a star stone into the slot. When the star stones landed in the positions of Dubhe and Migres, the eyes of Ying Long, which had been lifeless, suddenly lit up. A sound like the breaking of bronze chains was heard, and a blinding green light leaked out from the door crack. The sound of the door axle turning was like the mournful cry of 10,000 dragons, and the heavy door opened slowly to both sides like a mountain. Beyond the bronze gate was not a physical space but a bottomless dark abyss, with a transmission array suspended above. Fellow Taoists, Mu Qingming invited. Together now. The 9 nascent souls almost simultaneously stepped onto the transmission array, then called their respective forces to enter the secret realm. Cultivators of demons, monsters, and the human race, each numbering in the hundreds, gathered on the broad transmission array. Everyone remained vigilant, ready at any time to use their unique skills against the alien race cultivators beside them. At this moment, the Ying Long statue on the bronze gate suddenly came to life. Without any prior notice, it unknowingly separated from the bronze gate, unfolding its sky-shading bronze wings above, and sprayed a waterfall-like mysterious light upon all the cultivators. The azure mystical light erupted like a tsunami, enveloping the entire abyss along with the transmission array, and then pressed toward the cultivators of the 3 realms. Boom! Be careful! Numerous cultivators, flustered and panicked, raised their respective life-bound magical artifacts, attempting to block the pervasive mystical light. No need to panic. Master Dongwei's voice resonated. This Ying Long is simply activating the transmission array. As long as there are no divinity transformation cultivators, there will be no danger. In other words, divinity transformation cultivators cannot enter this secret realm. Buzz! Before his words had faded, the mystical light suddenly fell, shrouding everyone within it. In an instant, the world was reduced to pure white. Chun Sansi could no longer see anyone or anything, only feeling a disorienting spin until he lost consciousness, falling into an endless abyss. It was unclear how much time had passed before Chun Sansi regained consciousness. As if his awareness had been pulled back into his body, he slowly opened his eyes. Where is this place? He looked around and realized he was in an entirely different world. The environment he found himself in was no longer the bronze gate transmission array, but a barren forest filled with deadwood and scattered stones, brimming with lifelessness. Senior sister? Chun Sansi rose slowly but did not find any trace of the blind woman, not even seeing a second living person. Nearly 1,000 cultivators from the 3 realms had vanished without a trace. An unprecedented sense of caution rose in his heart. Am I the only one left alone? Or is everyone in the same situation? Is this place inside the secret realm or outside it? What should I do next? A myriad of questions surged forth, but Chun Sansi held back from acting rashly and stood still, considering quietly. Rustle. Footsteps suddenly sounded in the forests on either side. A miniature copper cauldron appeared in Chun Sansi's palm, ready to deal with any sudden circumstances. A few breaths later, he saw the source of the footsteps. Puppets with stiff steps emerged from both sides. They resembled the training posts of mortal martial artists, exerting a pressure approximately at the Foundation establishment realm, and there were exactly 10 of them. These puppets, drawn by the scent of living humans, lunged at Chun Sansi but were swiftly reduced to wreckage under the crushing force of the heavenly slaughter tripod. Soon after, all the wreckage began to twist and turn into black mist. As the mist dissipated, a single black coin was left on the ground. What is this? Using the Qi observation skill, Chun Sansi confirmed there was no danger before daring to approach and pick up the item. The coins were made of some special metallic material, round and square, entirely black, with the words Luo Xiao currency engraved in gilt at the center. Following the principle of seizing what he could, he placed the 10 coins into his storage ring and continued exploring forward. After passing through a crossroads littered with boulders, the scene ahead opened up. On an endless wasteland, one cultivator after another stood scattered, with narrow passageways behind them, identical to the one Chun Sansi had traversed before. Some passageways had a cultivator standing in front of them, similarly confused, while others were empty, with those who had entered failing to re-emerge. Is this some kind of checkpoint? Chun Sansi surmised, reasoning that the Yinglong must have placed each person into a passageway, leaving them to their fate. He walked toward the nearest passage, wanting to enter and verify his hypothesis, only to bump into a boundary, as if hitting an invisible wall. Each passageway could only accommodate one person. It was indeed a deliberately set checkpoint. Whoever crafted this secret realm had intentionally designed it this way, which means the Luo Xiao currency acquired from defeating the puppets would likely have future utility. Who's there? Detecting a chill from behind, Chun Sansi spun around swiftly, only to see a lotus-like face. Senior sister? He breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "So, you were also sent into these passageways?" The blind woman opened her snowflake-clad palm, revealing a Luo Xiao currency. Their experiences were identical. On the expansive wasteland, more and more cultivators gradually gathered. Senior Sister Jiang, Junior Brother Lu? A Foundation establishment disciple from the Qingshu sect, upon seeing them, ran over with joy and called to the back, "Brothers and sisters of the Qingshu sect, come and gather here." Choya Peak, Su Yang. A few years back, Chun Sansi had met him on the Sishui Dao. There was also a senior brother named Lu Jiong during the same period, who unfortunately was later deceived and killed by the Demon Suppression Department of the Great Song under the pretense of repairing the Imperial Mausoleum. Su Yang, on the other hand, had escaped back with Xue Jingfeng. This time, they came to Guangren Dao under the lead of the short-tempered elder Jiufan Jinren. And now that the elder was nowhere to be found, they naturally regarded Chun Sansi and the blind woman, both golden core cultivators, as their mainstay. Under Su Yang's call, 6 disciples of the Qingshu sect quickly gathered nearby. Lu Fengzhu. He corrected himself. What should we do next? Since we've come, we must make the best of it. Chun Sansi said, "At this point, we can only continue exploring forward. Phosphorescent benevolence guards the heart." In fact, he was the one most concerned about his safety. "All right," Su Yang declared loudly. "Then let's follow Peak Master Lu." Not only the Qingshu sect, other cultivators also began to gather slowly, centering around their respective power bases. The orthodox powers that journeyed to the extreme north to seek treasures were of 2 kinds: sects and families. Even if there are loose cultivators, most of them rely on family connections. For example, that nascent soul loose cultivator, Master Dongwei, is actually a guest elder supported by a coalition of more than 20 cultivation families, all of whom are well-known figures. With Dongwei not here, these family disciples gradually gathered around the Golden Core cultivator from the Lu family. Lu Zhao, Golden Core middle stage. Chun Sansi clearly remembered this person's information. He didn't linger much, leading his fellow disciples forward. After about 7 or 8 miles, a large number of forks appeared ahead. This is... Su Yang scratched his head. Are we supposed to choose the checkpoint ourselves? Which one should we take? Chun Sansi's insight ability was fully activated, carefully observing the 6 forked paths ahead, without noticing any differences. He sent someone to use sword control to investigate from above, but encountered airspace suppression. Peak Master Lu, let my spiritual beasts try. A Foundation establishment cultivator formed a hand seal with both hands, consecutively releasing 7 hunting dogs. Spiritual beasts. Dijie. These spirit dogs contained the bloodline of the divine beast listener. One dog king could command the 7 hunting dogs, excelling at pathfinding and tracking. Under the master's command, they each entered different forks. The result? Not a single one survived. Peak Master Lu. The fellow Foundation establishment disciple spoke in horror. I've lost contact with my Dijie beasts. Awoo! The last remaining dog king howled in a mournful wail. All 6 paths are dead ends? Su Yang was aghast. But the problem was, they had no way back. The passage they had previously encountered with the puppets was sealed off long ago, and the rest was an endless wilderness with no end in sight. That is to say, everyone either had to randomly choose a path, or they would be trapped here and die. Senior sister? Chun Sansi looked at the female blind seer, hoping for some advice. The latter merely shook her head, clearly unable to judge which path was better. The other sect disciples had also long arrived at the forks, and some bold individuals shouted, "Doesn't matter, any brothers willing to follow me, let's take the far left path together." After wasting half a day, more and more people lost patience and randomly chose a path to continue forward. Eventually, Chun Sansi could only go with the flow, choosing a path with the most people, leading his fellow disciples onward. Next, they encountered such forks several times, all having to blindly choose. Someone is following us. Jiang Xie suddenly transmitted her voice. Chun Sansi responded simply. He had long known that even entering the secret realm under the identity of Lu Shengji, he would face probing and even attacks. He just didn't expect that those following were not from Guiyuan sect, but were rather the loose cultivators mixed within the families. It must be because of the Kungsu order. The Great Han is an ally of the Holy Sect, with the Heavenly Water 36 sects and large families having enormous foundations. They definitely dare not defy. But the smaller the forces, the less they respect the Holy Order. As the saying goes, the mountain is high and the emperor is far away. Especially loose cultivators, as long as the benefit is sufficient, they won't hesitate to defy the Holy Order or even align with demon cultivators. Lu Zhao and others are clearly such people. Fortunately, although this person's realm surpassed his own, it wasn't to the extent of being unsolvable. He just needed to be cautious. Chun Sansi signaled his senior sister to keep an eye on the back, while he focused his attention on the front. The subsequent path had no further forks, but instead became exceptionally long. After walking for 2 days and nights, with only endless yellow sand behind, the scenery ahead gradually began to change. It was as if an oasis suddenly appeared in the desert. On the originally barren wasteland, towering ancient trees rose from the ground. The branches of the towering ancient trees intertwined to form a dark green canopy, shredding the last strands of daylight through the knotted vine web. The ground was steaming with sticky purple-black mist, each wisp twisting upwards like a living creature, carrying the fetid sweet scent of decomposing leaves and animal bones. On the surface of a broken stone monument, 3 large characters were engraved, Thousand Miasma Forest. Beside the monument stood a mighty money toad, stepping on an array plate. It gazed at the sky with its mouth wide open, the metal-crafted tongue curled in a hunting pose, yet it was empty. It seems, Su Yang analyzed, to move forward, we must first pass through this Thousand Miasma Forest. It's just miasma, nothing to be concerned about. Using a couple of spells, we can break through. Someone was eager to give it a try. Chun Sansi raised his hand, signaling his fellow disciples not to act rashly, waiting to see how the others would proceed. In front of them, disciples of the Golden Corsex Divine Spell Valley were the first to arrive. A tall Foundation establishment cultivator in a pure white magic robe was seen forming incantations and chanting, and soon his surroundings were covered in a golden glow. Second-tier spell, Xianwei Protective Body Charm. This person, confident in his mastery of the protective body charm, rushed into the miasma without hesitation. However, in just an instant the golden light dissolved under the corrosive miasma. His expression tightened, and he hurriedly sealed his 7 orifices to retreat back the way he came. Yet the poisonous miasma, like minute venomous insects, burrowed through his pores and into his meridians. The disciple from Divine Spell Valley let out a piercing scream, his skin visibly darkening, and within just a few breaths, he collapsed to the ground, unable to move, perishing in agony. A dignified Foundation establishment cultivator couldn't even last the time it takes to burn half a tea stick. Looking again at the forest, in the roots of dragon-shaped ancient trees, ink-green sap seeped out, sizzling as it corroded the rocks. Beneath the rotting surface, bronze fragments half-buried could be faintly seen, inscribed with long-deciphered runes, adding to the eerie and dangerous atmosphere with fresh corpses. "I have a miasma-repelling elixir." Another disciple from Fuyao Hall took out an elixir. This miasma-repelling elixir is a 3rd-tier elixir, personally refined by our sect leader. It is surely capable of traversing this forest. As he said this, he swallowed the elixir and charged into the forest with sword control. However, after just a moment, everyone saw him fall from mid-air, crawling and struggling on the ground, only to be entangled by a large number of vines rising from the depths of the forest, ultimately disappearing completely. In the blink of an eye, 2 Foundation establishment cultivators perished, shocking the cultivators to the core, subconsciously retreating several steps. Lu Peak Master. Su Yong swallowed hard. "Do you have any method against this miasma?" Chun Sansi shook his head. Relying on his perception, even if he, a golden core, entered, he could only support for a single incense stick's worth of time at most. But the problem is, God knows how big this forest is, and an incense stick's time might not even get them to the central region, let alone through it. "Stay calm and don't act rashly," Chun Sansi instructed. Everyone spread out to see if there are any other mechanisms or a way around. He himself used his mana to protect his body, moving towards the edge of the poison miasma to observe more closely. Amidst the dense and dark vegetation, sinister white bones lay hidden, ghostly blue netherworld fire igniting from within, as blood-winged mayflies flew out from tree tumors, churning the miasma into a vortex. This 1,000 miasma forest was filled with dense spiritual energy, and not lacking in spiritual beast poison insects, with strange spirit plants also growing on the ground. As for deeper areas, they could no longer be seen. Chun Sansi withdrew his gaze and looked again at the money toad beside the monument, discovering that the coins carved on the toad's back seemed closely resembling the Luo Shao coin. He immediately approached, bending down to carefully observe the array plate beneath the toad. 4th-tier array. Even though Chun Sansi couldn't decipher it, he could vaguely discern that the formation was related to space. Could it be? Activating the formation might lead everyone through the forest? However, he did not find any groove for placing spirit stones on the array plate, and even infusing it with mana elicited no response. Chun Sansi abandoned the array plate and began to examine the toad, taking out the Luo Shao coin, discovering that it fit perfectly into the narrow space curled by the toad's tongue. Without hesitation, he placed a Luo Shao coin on the tongue. In the next moment, the dusty toad inexplicably began to hum, its pupils bursting with spirit light, its metal-crafted body starting to tremble, with the coins engraved on its back lighting up one after another, eventually seeming to come alive, swallowing that Luo Shao coin into its belly. At the same time, Chun Sansi's divine sense connected into the toad's interior. He was surprised to find that inside there was a shop. Chun Sansi's divine sense formed a connection with the money toad, revealing a simple shop in front of him. The shop's display was also straightforward. showcasing only one item. 5 Qi Detoxification Pill. Grade: 3rd grade elixir pills. Utility: when consumed, it can protect the owner, invulnerable to miasmas. Price: 3 universal coins. This is, just by using the Luoshao universal coins obtained earlier in the passage, one could purchase an item that allows safe passage through the Thousand Miasma Forest. Chun Sansi felt a surge of joy but intended to immediately invest 2 more coins. However, he soon associated it with something and hesitated. With his guidance, nearby cultivators also gathered toward the toad. Wang Jun from the Shengyun sect stood at the end of the line, observing secretly. Peak Master Lu? Su Yong approached. What's going on? Is there something fishy about this toad? Yes. Chun Sansi took 2 steps back, letting the others check it on their own. This? Su Yong connected his divine sense with the toad, showing an expression of disbelief. So, the coins obtained from defeating the puppet earlier have such a utility? Without a second thought, he directly threw 2 Luoshao universal coins into the toad's mouth. The toad swallowed the coins and soon after, its tongue shot out again, spitting out a pitch-black bead. Peak Master Lu. Su Yong held the breaking miasma pearl and returned 1 coin to the white robe, saying, "Why don't you exchange for one? With the elixir pills, we can be the first to pass through the poison miasma." "Brother Su," Chun Sansi calmly said, "may I borrow your elixir pill for a look?" "Sure." Su Yong was momentarily stunned but did not refuse. Under the effect of C-pill and recognized the recipe, Chun Sansi directly deciphered the recipe for the 5 Qi detoxification pill, and indeed discovered that the core ingredients were growing in this Thousand Miasma Forest, allowing him to refine them himself, making it completely unnecessary to spend 3 universal coins to buy them. He thought, since the creator of the secret realm specially distributed the universal coins to everyone, there would definitely be greater uses later, so it's best to save whenever possible. While Chun Sansi thought this way, others did not. Many sect and family cultivators, upon witnessing the toad's peculiarity, rushed over in a hubbub, starting to use their Luoshao universal coins to purchase the 5 Qi detoxification pill. Senior sister. Chun Sen sent a message to the blind girl, saying, "Don't purchase the elixir pills. Please help me to break into the poison miasma and gather 2 spirit plants." Jiang Xie silently agreed and walked into the Thousand Miasma Forest, with extreme cold spreading from her as the center. Everywhere she passed, the vegetation froze, and the miasma was also isolated. But human strength is limited, while the poison miasma is endless, and they seem to have a life of their own, relentlessly gathering towards living beings. The protective magical power in front of her began to wear away at a visible speed. Such powerful miasma! Chun Sansi had previously estimated he could last a stick of incense, but in reality, it might only be a little less. He wasted no time, similarly releasing his abundant mana within the golden core, spreading a scorching barrier. With every step he took, the ground turned into scorched earth, forcibly dispelling the invading miasma. But soon, these miasmas retaliated like countless poisonous snakes, frantically gnawing at the fire attribute mana. Knowing the power of the poison miasma, the 2 still chose to break through, which was observed by others. What are they up to? Lu Zhao, at the golden core middle stage, squinted his eyes. Why don't they exchange for the elixir pills? Do they intend to force through? Why not? Another loose cultivator at the core formation middle stage suggested, should we take action now? No. Lu Zhao rejected. If this person is really Chen Lei, his strength is not simple. Even with Dongwei Daoist not here, we should wait until the other 2 Daoists arrive. Moreover, avoid alerting the others as much as possible. After all, it would offend the holy sect. All right then. The elderly loose cultivator, as though made of rotten wood, nodded and asked, "Is it truly worth the risk we're taking this time?" "Of course." Lu Zhao replied decisively. Once it succeeds, Chao Xie will occupy the eastern continent and leverage the ceiling's protection to break through divinity transformation. By then, we'll all soar with him. I personally don't mind, given that my lifespan is limited and there's no hope of reaching the nascent soul realm in this lifetime. The elderly loose cultivator sighed. The main thing is to secure a clear path to immortality for the descendants. This time, I've put my life and assets in your hands. Don't worry, Lu Zhao confidently said. Even if he's truly Qinlei, estimating the time, his realm couldn't possibly exceed early stage of core formation. Once the other two brothers arrive, have them hold off that blind girl. You and I, working together, shouldn't face too much pressure dealing with an early stage core formation. Hiss! The elderly loose cultivator interrupted. Old Lu, look, are they gathering herbs? In the forest, Chun Sansi and the blind girl, both enduring the miasma's corrosion, quickly harvested several spirit plants. Then, before everyone's eyes, he summoned an alchemy furnace and other auxiliary materials from his storage bag and began alchemy. They're trying to refine the 5-qi detoxification pill? Lu Zhao suddenly realized, feeling incredulous. The elderly loose cultivator was surprised, saying, "How does he know the recipe?" He had just checked the elixir pills, and unlike any ordinary anti-miasma pill on the market, there were no recipes or hints nearby, so how could the man refine it? Moreover, refining a furnace of elixir pills takes at least 10 days, sometimes indefinitely. Can it be done in time? In plain view, Chun Sansi opened the furnace for alchemy. Wearing a black robe, the blind girl in silk cloth stood by, acting as a protector. After breaking through to the entry-level alchemist 3rd rank, it took Chun Sansi at most 2 days to craft a batch of elixir pills. The 1,000 miasma forest was profoundly deep, full of unseen dangers. It was wise to let others go ahead and explore the path first, that way he could stay behind and be alerted to any warning signs. As for those who were beginning the alchemy process, the cultivators present either stayed to observe, scoffed, or impatiently rushed into the 1,000 miasma forest after exchanging for their 5-element detoxification pills, afraid that if they were slow, the treasures of the secret realm might fall into someone else's hands. 2 days passed by in the blink of an eye. As the alchemy furnace continued to hum incessantly, a beam of blue light burst forth, forcibly lifting the lid off the furnace, announcing the successful completion of the alchemy. Skill: Alchemy, 3rd rank. Progress: 55/2000. 3 bright blue pills hovered in mid-air, the remarkably high-quality 5-element detoxification pills. Peak Master Lu. Su Yang's eyes widened. How did you learn the method of crafting those elixir pills? Indeed. The other disciples of the Qingshu sect chimed in. It's exactly the same as those we exchanged for. Chun Sansi made an excuse, saying, to be honest, I've once explored a secret realm and obtained a scroll of ancient pill recipes there, which included the method for crafting detoxification pills. Peak Master Lu has been quite fortunate. No wonder you've successfully achieved golden core formation within just a few years of entering the sect. Su Yang envied him immensely. During these 2 days, most disciples of the Qingshu sect did not leave and instead stayed beside the alchemy furnace. It wasn't just from pure enthusiasm to help, but staying close to 2 golden core cultivators in such a high-rank secret realm increased their chances of survival. As for the disciples from other sects, most gradually left during these 2 days, leaving only a few hesitating whether to venture into the forest. It's about time. Chun Sansi put away the alchemy furnace, handed a detoxification pill to his senior sister, and prepared to pass through the 1,000 miasma forest. Esteemed senior of the Qingshu sect, Wang Jun approached him respectfully. I noticed your furnace yielded 3 pills. Could I buy one? He paused and added, I am willing to offer 2 Luo Xiao tokens. Oh! Chun Sansi glanced at him, thinking about how his alchemy was originally to save tokens, and earning some would naturally be better. After some contemplation, he agreed to the deal. Thank you, senior. Wang Jun clasped his fist in salute, took the elixir pill, and left. Fellow Taoist, I'd also like to buy one. Other cultivators witnessed this and also wished to purchase. Even though they did not know what Luo Xiao tokens were used for, they figured it was cheaper than buying from the toad. The disciples of Qingshu sect also made similar requests. Sorry, Chun Sansi spread his hands. I only have 2 left and none to spare. Still gathering herbs? Someone suggested. Since you know the pill recipe and materials exist in the 1,000 miasma forest, why not craft more? That way, you can earn some money and we save a token. Yes, Peak Master Lu. The Qingshu sect disciples echoed. Could you craft more? We are willing to pay for them. Chun Sansi believed later stages would need tokens, and it was better to have more in hand. After careful consideration, he decided to craft another batch. He consumed a detoxification pill and ventured into the forest once more. Upon consuming the pill, Chun Sansi felt a cool ointment coating his 7 orifices and pores. This pill didn't block miasma outside, but under its influence, the miasma purifies into spiritual energy before invading, bringing a refreshing aura. No wonder regular miasma shielding pills were ineffective. The forest's miasma could not be repelled. Coexisting with it was the best method. Previously relying entirely on mana, Chun Sansi didn't gather much material, but now he could explore deeper confidently. Half a day later, he returned the same way, reopened the furnace and crafted 20 detoxification pills, selling them to the other cultivators. The number of Luoshao tokens he had increased from 10 to 50. Were it not for the concern of wasting too much time, Chun Sansi would have crafted a few more batches. Thank you, Peak Master Lu. The crowd consumed the pills, expressing their gratitude and praise. Since we've taken the pills, shall we continue forward? Chun Sansi looked back and noticed that the family cultivators led by Lu Zhao had vanished. After setting up precautions internally, he led the group deeper into the 1,000 miasma forest. It took a full 10 days of journey. Walking in the forest without seeing daylight for 10 days and nights, they hadn't found the exit. Without a compass to guide, they might suspect being trapped in some maze formation. Moreover, the miasmic forest revealed carcasses and shattered magical treasures and spiritual treasures occasionally. Like the 9 nether forbidden grounds, it witnessed a significant skirmish. Judging by the identification badges left with the remains, most deceased belonged to Bai Yujing and Luoshao sect. It seems the ancient battle was fiercer than imagined, wiping out 2 major sects from the cultivation world. The Qingshu sect's disciples began scavenging the remains. Finding anything useful on these ancient great powers would turn into heirlooms. Chun Sansi was no exception. His mission had 2 purposes. Firstly, to find the Fuxi black sand among the martial arts golden body realm spiritual objects. Secondly, the spiritual pearl and destructive spirit arrays diagram. The location of the latter was unknown. The Fuxi black sand, however, would appear in 2 places. One was the naturally formed high-rank artifact refining or cave. The other was a battlefield such as a sword tomb littered with abandoned magical treasures and spiritual treasures. In front was an antiquated battlefield site. Despite meticulous searching, Chun Sansi couldn't find any trace of the Fuxi black sand. The remaining magical treasures, or other items, had all lost their spiritual essence, corroded into debris by miasma day and night. Such spiritual objects happen by chance and need not be rushed. Su Yang searched long but only found a cracked shield, usable a few times. He lost interest in the 1,000 miasma forest. Peak Master Lu, we better move on and try to find Elder Jiu Huan them. Chun Sansi, observing the group always staying close to him, advised sincerely, fellow brothers, you need not stick with me always. Knowing they sought protection from the Golden Core realm, Chun felt that in his current precarious state, having too many eyes watching was unsafe. Peak Master Lu, Su Yang awkwardly replied, do you find us troublesome? Indeed. Someone quickly said, Peak Master Lu, just let us know what you need. We'd never hold you back. Fine. Chun Sansi grudgingly allowed them to follow. The group advanced 20 miles further, the forest's miasma thickening to the point it became near impossible to see one's hand. When they finally emerged from the miasma fog, light shone again. The vegetation thinned out ahead, allowing sunlight through the gaps to dapple the ground. Great! The exit! Su Yang exclaimed in excitement, praising. It's all thanks to Peak Master Lu leading the way. Otherwise, we'd never escape this poisonous miasma forest. We should properly thank him after returning. Yes, yes, others echoed, though it sounded scattered. Fools! Su Yang cursed internally. His peers failed to notice how Lu Shengji and Jiang Xie had no intention of leading them. Without ingratiating themselves, they'd be left aside soon. Everyone, properly thank Peak Master Lu. Su Yang repeated but still lacked sufficient agreement, frowning back just about to scold them when he froze. Only 2 disciples remained from the 6 who followed behind earlier. Where are the people? Su Yang asked. Where are the other senior brothers? Only then did the 2 fellow disciples notice that many people were missing around them. Ha! Where's old Zhang and the others? They were clearly just by our side. Ah! Just as everyone was looking at each other in confusion, a sudden scream came from the dense forest behind them. Bang! Chun Sansi stomped down, his body turning into a light of escape. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the location where the sound originated. But unfortunately, he was a step late, only seeing a corpse that had died miserably. He glanced around but found no trace of the murderer. Peak Master Lu, save me! The cry for help echoed again, and Chun Sansi chased after it, but once more came up empty. In front of him, a disciple from Tsuyua Peak lay dead, bleeding from all 7 apertures, his face twisted with agony. The sudden turn of events left the remaining people horrified and alarmed, each drawing out their life-bound magical artifacts, nervously looking around. Su Yang raised the shield he had picked up. Who is it? What kind of demon dares to attack people from the Qingshu sect? There was no response. The 1,000 miasma forest was utterly lifeless. Go! Chun Sansi spoke, his expression grim, emphasizing each word. Go! Su Yang and the other 2 disciples were stunned. Chun Sansi had no time to explain, only saying solemnly, If you want to live, then leave. Su Yang and the others exchanged glances and then hurriedly saluted before running toward the exit. After they had gone a distance, Chun Sansi spoke to the dark, eerie forest. Fellow Taoists, since you came for me, why not show yourselves instead of harming the innocent? Hee. A hoarse, cold laugh came from afar. Forgive me, young Taoist. We didn't intend to involve irrelevant people, but those people stuck to you like glue. I had no choice but to drive them away cleanly. With those words, a middle-staged core formation cultivator with graying hair quietly appeared. It was Lu Zhao. In his palm, a circular ring suddenly enlarged from the size of a bracelet to the width of a person's embrace. It was entirely the deep blue of deep-sea black iron, with various sea demon totems on its surface, inscribed with ancient sea-suppressing runes that created dynamic swirls like deep-sea vortices as their glow shifted. The magical treasure, Mirage Abyss Sea-Suppressing Ring. Beside him stood an emaciated old man, carrying a spear 8 feet long, which seemed to almost crush him. This spear's tip was in the shape of twin serpents coiled around each other, constructed entirely from the spine of the Xianming 9-headed worm, covered with scale-like dark patterns, with a bluish spiritual power aura flowing between the scales, and the main material of the shaft being Millennium Fiend wood, wrapped in a metallic mesh made from the exoskeleton of the swallowing gold worm, engraved with runes from the 9 nether beast-controlling art. Amidst the pervasive poison miasma, the spear's scales constantly opened and closed, as if breathing. This magical treasure is a living creature, or, more accurately, it's a living creature forged and fused through a special secret technique, but the consciousness of the demon beast still exists, making it an artifact spirit. An artifact spirit is a truly high-level magical treasure, birthed only through the long-term feeding of essence blood by its master and their constant companionship, often possessing immense power and immense loyalty to its master. Normally, magical treasures of core formation cultivators do not have artifact spirits, and if they do, it's merely a spiritual fetus, not highly useful. But this elderly cultivator has clearly employed some sort of evil technique to refine the demon beast, forcefully creating a magical treasure with an artifact spirit. This implies that not only is he fighting on his own, But he also has a mid-stage core formation or even higher-level demon beast at his command as if it's an extension of his body. The magical treasure, 9-headed soul-devouring spear. Moreover, Chun Sansi observed through the Qi observation skill that the old man's body contained true Qi, similar to himself, indicating immortal and martial dual cultivation. Without even engaging in battle, the pressure brought by the two mid-staged core formation cultivators was already overwhelming. Chun Sansi did not feel fear, but he understood that if a fight ensued, he would have to give it everything he had. Early stage versus mid-stage sounds like a minor difference, but in reality, it's a vast chasm. As you progress further in cultivation realms, this becomes increasingly true. Because the difference between the early and middle stages of foundation establishment might be a mere 10 or 20 years of cultivation, while the difference between the early and middle stages of core formation could be 100 years, or even hundreds of years. This additional accumulation of hundreds of years is naturally not to be underestimated. Furthermore, these two were originally loose cultivators who later founded families and became patriarchs of their domains. Unlike the sect disciples, who often receive everything on a silver platter, these family cultivators face even more brutal competition, and their ways of fighting are usually much more vicious. Before we begin, there are still some things I would like to ask. Chun Sansi probed. I bear no grievances nor grudges with you both, so why resort to blades and swords? Why so many reasons? Lu Zhao spoke slowly. We're merely taking money to eliminate a problem for someone else. Enough chit-chat. Time to give up your life. Despite his calm tone, an overwhelming killing intent burst forth. The Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring hummed fiercely, and in just a moment, it was before Chun Sansi's eyes. He dared not be the slightest bit careless. The long Dan bright silver spear whooshed out, like a giant dragon engulfed in the burning sky fire, aimed to fiercely bite down on the Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring. Boom! Two forces of gold core level collided, causing a vortex of thick miasma to billow like a turbulent sea of clouds. Burning sky fire, long Dan bright silver spear. Lu Zhao's eyes burned with deeper ferocity. You are indeed Chun Lei from the eastern continent. So this means... Amidst the tug of war, Chun Sansi's Taoist robe fluttered, and the veins on his neck bulged. You are sent by that stable groom? Lu Zhao didn't care at all, instead shouting to his companion. Brother Yuan, hurry up and take him down, so we can accomplish great things. Boom! From within the Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring, a torrent of extreme cold seawater suddenly surged forth, extinguishing the burning sky fire. Deprived of true power support, Chun Sansi's arm went numb, and he retreated violently backwards without a moment to catch his breath, only to see the decrepit old man already in action. In the moment he struck, Yuan Jiangyi's shriveled and frail body swelled several times over, as if rejuvenated, with not a trace of old age left. Wielding a soul-devouring spear with 9 heads, he cleaved any obstructive ancient trees like cutting tofu, then fiercely descended upon Tianwu, where the spear tip burst within water magic power. At the last moment, Chun Sansi stabilized his posture and unleashed the extreme divine power, deflecting the spear from an extremely tricky angle, and then executed the wood tunneling technique to widen the distance, seeking a chance to adjust. The female blind seer conjured the ice soul sword in her hand and was about to move forward to assist, but sensed the killing intent from behind. Her lithe waist twisted like a swimming snake, and her black shark silk belt fluttered like a waterfall, narrowly dodging the cold gleam of a purple light flying knife as she spun away. She looked in the direction the hidden weapon came from and saw 2 golden core middle-stage cultivators, 1 male and 1 female, rushing toward her. The female was large and imposing, wielding a forging hammer, while the male was skinny with secrets hidden in his sleeves. Little girl. The female cultivator's voice was rough. Your opponent is me, sister. Jiang Xie raised her sword to meet the opponent. Zzz. The burning sky fire was extinguished once more, filling the air with mixed steam and miasma that obscured everyone's vision. Chun Sansi slid backwards under a heavy blow, his legs carving 2 furrows in the ground. These two were both cultivating water attribute techniques. It seemed Chao Xie had carefully selected the assassins, ensuring they had the advantage in realm suppression combined with the 5 elements restraint, giving him no chance at all. Luckily, he still had the red lotus karma fire. A crimson lotus bloomed on the blade of the Longdan bright silver spear, again colliding with the Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring coming at him. This time, even under the onslaught of extreme cold seawater, the flames weren't negatively affected. Instead, they burned even more vigorously. Lu Zhao Tutade, immortal and martial dual cultivation, harboring various abnormal fires, and possessing excellent alchemy talent. No wonder someone is willing to pay such a high price to kill you. If it weren't for the two of us working together today, I'm afraid we really wouldn't be able to kill you. Qianquan shifting, tide of 10,000 beasts. His hands moved in a blur, forming seals as the Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring hummed. The ring seemed like a transmission array, pouring out the extreme cold ocean from places unknown. Waves surged and transformed into innumerable sea demon beasts. Mirage dragons, black tortoises, sea serpents, and venomous sharks. On the other side, Yuan Jiangyi's soul-devouring spear once again stabbed head-on. As it neared Tian Wu, the dormant artifact spirit awakened. The spear tip lit up with ghostly blue eyes, and then heads began to sprout, transforming into a 9-headed giant insect. The 9 sharp-toothed heads lunged skyward, ready to bite down below. Holding the Dragon Abyss sword in his left hand and a long spear in his right, Chen Sansi, relying on his peak-level martial arts, was always able to parry lethal blows at critical moments. But after all, they had realm suppression and they joined forces, causing him to steadily fall back, losing the upper hand. Burn, blood, tribulation. With the fierce battle, his meridians were at the verge of collapse, his war intent soaring. He sliced his palm open with a sword, allowing the hot blood to spray out like molten lava, coating the sword blade and spear blade surfaces. Clang! The Longdan bright silver spear clashed with the soul-devouring spear once more, causing the 9-headed insect artifact spirit to emit a hideous howl upon contact with the heavenly martial blood. The Dragon Abyss sword flicked the Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring aside, and where it was stained with blood, sizzling blue smoke rose. Blood-burning tribulation. Surrounded by flames, blood transformed into molten flames. Blood burst operation. True power surged. At the same time, the blood could erode enemy magical treasures. Even suppressed by realm, the effect was visible to the naked eye. The only downside was that it rapidly consumed his own essence blood, being a last resort. Repeatedly clashing with Golden Core middle stage, Chen Sansi's internal organs were already injured under the mana shocks, but he forced himself to endure. He hefted the long spear, executing a Songlong steer's tail maneuver, forcing the Mirage Abyss Sea suppressing ring back, then seized the brief opening to focus on fiercely attacking Yuan Jiangyi. The long spear spun like a dragon breaking through clouds, with a divine sword radiating light and shadow, each move aiming straight for vital spots, the spear and sword chi densely sealing all escape routes. Yuan Jiangyi found himself overwhelmed, revealing openings in the frequent exchanges, only to realize when it was too late that the opponent's spear tip had already swept past the 9-headed insect, just half an inch from his throat, completely inescapable. Should this strike hit, even if this person survived, they would be severely injured. But at the critical moment, Yuan Jiangyi's flesh and bones spawned a phenomenon. A layer of golden light instantly enveloped his entire body, turning him into a golden body sculpture. ZZZ. The Longdan bright silver spear struck the opponent's throat, emitting a harsh metallic friction sound, sparking a flicker of sparks, which ignited the surrounding miasma into a raging sea of fire. Yet, within the sea of fire, Yuan Jiangyi remained unscathed. Immortal and martial dual cultivation, glazed golden body. After he summoned the martial arts golden body, it was the brief stalemate caused by Chen Sansi's attack that became an opportunity for the opponent to counterattack. A swarm of 9-headed giant insects danced wildly, reaching for his heart to bite. His long spear was equally agile, like a divine dragon turning back, blocking the fatal blow with an unbelievable move in the eyes of outsiders. However, due to the difference in realm, he was sent flying backward, crashing heavily into a swamp. Yuan Jiangyi, whose whole body was resplendent in golden light, resembled a divine statue worshipped in a temple, but the face of the statue was filled with astonishment. He said, incredulously, "I have been practicing martial arts for over 400 years, believing I had reached the ultimate realm in martial arts. Unexpectedly, today I've encountered someone who opened my eyes." Indeed, Lu Zhao pinched the mantra. "Although I don't understand martial arts, I can sense the difficulty. This youth faced 2 opponents alone and nearly injured us. What a pity," Yuan Jiangyi lamented. "If it weren't for the necessity to kill him quickly, I would have wanted to take him back for interrogation and leave this cultivation technique for future generations." While they talked, their hands didn't slow down at all. Lu Zhao's sea-suppressing ring spirit light erupted. Countless sea beasts bit and roared. Yuan Jiangyi's soul-devouring spear with 9 heads grimaced, ready to deal with this troublesome junior in one fell swoop. Cough, cough, cough. In the swamp, Chun Sansi struggled to get up, spewing a mouthful of fresh blood. Who knows where the stable boy found these 2 old folks, not only experienced in magical battles, but also with little lifespan left. They fight without reservations, being very difficult to deal with. Moreover, with one possessing the glazed golden body, I fear it's hard to win a direct confrontation. His trump cards have not been fully played out yet. For instance, if he were to use the mysterious spirit 6 arms, he might sustain a bit longer, but it would also quickly drain his mana. Just now, the blood-burning tribulation had already consumed a lot of essence blood. If he continues to fight over capacity, he might not even have the strength left to escape. Furthermore, Chun Sansi looked towards the blind woman over there, and her situation was equally grim. The other 2 golden core cultivators were clearly weaker than Lu Zhao, and the other 2, Jiang Xie was on the losing side but could hold them off. But the problem is, the Zhu Mo Xian light within her body appeared again as the battle continued. If it flares up, given my current injured state, I'm far from able to help her regain her senses. If it can't be contained, recalling the experience at Little Witch Mountain last time, if Duguayou hadn't appeared in time, I might have really died at Jiang Xie's hands. After careful consideration, Chun Sansi made the most rational decision. Of the 36 stratagems, fleeing is the best strategy. He came to the secret realm not to compete with others but for the destructive spirit array. As Lu Zhao and the other charged, Chun Sansi used the earth tunneling technique to put some distance between them and then suddenly waved his sleeve, sending a swarm of magic-eating cicadas at them. Boom! The magic-eating cicadas gathered strength to self-destruct, and the immortal treasure fire spread out. There's something off with this fire. Be careful. Lu Zhao grabbed his companion, crushed several talismans, and retreated swiftly backwards. Immediately afterward, Chun Sansi raised his hand and threw out a talisman. Talisman Array General Solution. Within this talisman, he stored an illusion array that he had refined earlier. Array seals spread out, and the entire forest twisted and turned, making it difficult to find direction. Senior sister, let's go. Chun Sansi grabbed the blind woman and performed triple blood burning. Dong! With essence blood rapidly burning, Chun Sansi transformed into a streak of light shooting towards the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Zhao threw out a talisman, which congealed into a spindle-shaped flying boat. Talisman, Sky Escape Shuttle. For Golden Core middle stage cultivators boarded the talisman and chased in the direction Chun Sansi fled, but still lost the trail. What a fast escape technique! No matter. Yuan Jiangyi reverted to his decrepit appearance. During our earlier encounter, my artifact spirit already left a mark on him. He can't get far. 100 miles away, a shaky light of escape eventually crashed into a hill, creating a gigantic crater and sending dust skyward. In the muddy pit, Chun Sansi wiped away the blood from his chin, staggering a bit as he stood up. Earlier in battle, he used the blood-burning tribulation for a prolonged period, consuming much of his essence blood. Now, barely sustaining the triple blood burning, He had exhausted all his strength just to get here. After swallowing a few elixir pills to replenish his chi blood, Chun Sansi sat down to meditate. After a short while, some color returned to his face. "You have something on you." The voice of the female blind person, without any discernible emotion, sounded. Chun Sansi looked at the wound on his palm, where a trace of mana had been left during the fight. That elderly golden body warrior was highly likely to track him using this mark. However, the mark was deeply embedded in his flesh, and removing it might take some time. "Shall we keep moving?" Jiang Xie suggested. "No, we can't go far." Chun Sansi shook his head and said, "Even if we move, we must wait until the mark is entirely gone." He glanced around, unclear about where he was now. If they continued to roam blindly, they might run into even greater dangers. Let's not forget, besides those golden core middle-stage cultivators, Master Dongwei and the vengeful tiger demon, both nascent soul level, were also searching for him. If they ran into them, it would truly be a near-death experience. A toad. Chun Sansi noticed something unusual in the corner. Upon approaching, he found a money toad sculpture hidden beneath dense vines, identical to the one seen in the Thousand Miasma Forest. Earlier, he was only focused on shaking off his pursuers and hadn't carefully considered his route. Unexpectedly, he had stumbled upon another passage checkpoint. "Someone's been here," Jiang Xie reminded him. Chun Sansi also noticed that part of the vines entangling the toad had been cleared by someone in advance. But this didn't change the fact that this area was sparsely populated, unlike the previous Thousand Miasma Forest, which was crowded with cultivators trying to pass through. He took out a Luo Shao token, placing it in the toad's tongue mechanism, which immediately swallowed the coin. The array plate on the ground awakened. Connecting his divine sense with it, a shop appeared before Chun Sansi. Sealing Soul Sword Scabbard. Grade: 4th rank. Utility: accommodates a sword cultivator's residual soul, allowing passage through the heavenly slaughter sword domain. Price: 2 Luo Shao tokens, 1 person, 1 scabbard, a rare find. Among thousands of scabbards, one is unique, given to a fated person. Accommodates residual soul? Based on his previous experiences, Chun Sansi knew he would need this item to proceed further. Without hesitation, he tossed in another token to exchange for a sword scabbard. The toad swallowed the coin and spewed out a mysterious light. Chun Sansi caught the mysterious light, which turned into a sword scabbard in his palm. The scabbard body was a black rosewood core, covered in layers of dark lacquer. The center of the scabbard protruded with a 9-turn Qiu-long spine, along which were distributed 18 vermilion rune lines, appearing to be stained with blood for centuries, emitting a crimson glow in the dark. Jiang Xie did the same. Among thousands of scabbards, one is unique. Chun Sansi pondered this sentence, comparing his scabbard with the blind girl's, but found no difference. Evidently, neither of them was the fated person. Jiang Xie suddenly spoke. "This is the Luo Shao sword pool." "Sword pool?" Chun Sansi said in surprise. "Senior sister recognizes this place?" "I've only heard of it." The blind girl paused and explained. "There might be something I need inside." What a coincidence. Chun Sansi knew that his second senior sister was following along this journey to seek the treasures of the Luo Shao immortal sect to suppress the demon seed within her. Unexpectedly, not long after entering the secret realm, they'd found a destination. Truly, what you seek can be found effortlessly. Not wasting any time, the two headed deeper into the hill. After walking roughly a couple of miles, they were met with a stone stele over a dozen feet tall, engraved with 2 blood-red characters, sword pool. As they crossed the stone stele, they were hit by a violent sword chi, akin to gang wind, akin to a storm of countless blades cutting their blood and flesh. Chun Sansi's golden core revolved, vast mana spreading out, forming a protective barrier around them. The sword chi struck, creating a ding-ding-dang-dang sound, like a shield enduring 10,000 arrows fired simultaneously on the battlefield. He squinted into the distance, seeing the valley surrounded by cliffs, its ground etched with spider-web-like cracks, as if cleaved by a massive sword. Thousands of sword blades were inverted into the scorched earth, forming a black iron bramble forest. Half the swords were rusted, half gleaming coldly, with dark red veins wrapping around the hilt like withered vines. A mountain breeze swept through the sword forest. The rusted swords groaned in a trembling lament, while the spirit swords let out a brilliant dragon's roar. The sound waves collided and reverberated across the valley floor, creating visible pale sigh and sound waves that rippled over the protective barrier. Chan Sansi cautiously stepped forward a few times, and the sword tomb seemed to sense an intruder's approach, sending a metallic buzz, as if countless eyes were watching them through the sword blades. There's a sword array. His divine sense determined that this sword array was top-grade 3rd rank, nearing a 4th rank great formation. Immediately, he dared not proceed rashly, intending to walk along the edge, observing the specific arrangement of the sword array to find a way to break it. But just at this moment, a sound of something breaking the air suddenly came from above the dome behind them. A beam of golden light descended from the sky, smashing straight toward them. Damn it! They caught up so quickly. Clang! The dragon abyss unsheathed. Chan Sansi suddenly turned around, carrying overwhelming red lotus karma fire, slashing out a sword chi toward the sky. 10,000 sword sky. This sword chi multiplied from 1 to 2, then 2 to 4, until it covered the sky densely. In the process of piercing the target, it merged into one again, turning into a gigantic sword. Boom! Layers of huge waves exploded in the air, as the Mirage Abyss sea-suppressing ring, wrapped in overwhelming seawater, poured down from the heavens like the Milky Way, directly smashing the gigantic sword into pieces. Lu Zhao formed a hand seal, casting a spell once more. Boy! You can't escape. Surrender now. Yuan Jiangyi was enveloped in golden light, thrusting out from his body as the artifact spirit awakened. 9 giant insects covering the sky, swooping down towards the ground to devour it. Chan Sansi's glazed golden body burst forth with auspicious light. The true power surged out, merging with the long spear and dragon abyss. But he was already injured, and combined with consuming a large amount of essence blood, how could he continue to fight across realms? With one exchange, Tian Wu's body flew backward like a broken kite, sliding hundreds of zhang away until he smashed into a giant rock, coming to a reluctant stop. But before he could catch a breath, Lu Zhao's Mirage Abyss sea-suppressing ring followed close behind, carrying the weight of an entire ocean. Blood-burning tribulation. Chan Sansi had no choice but to burst his blood once again, with flames bursting from his 7 orifices, the blood gushing from his wounds spewing forth like molten lava, forcibly taking another blow. However, Yuan Jiangyi cooperated perfectly, once again attacking from the flank, with the 9-headed giant insect spewing black water, covering the sky. Chan Sansi summoned the heavenly slaughter tripod to block it, but had to contend simultaneously with the returning Mirage Abyss sea-suppressing ring. He retreated step by step, causing everyone's position to move farther forward until they truly entered the range of the sword pool. Buzz! In an instant, 10,000 swords sang together. A pale sword mark stretching across 100 li shot straight through to the sky. The ground shook violently, millions of silent ancient swords broke free from scorched earth, rusted blades bursting into dazzling light. Broken swords became crimson streams of fire, spirit swords' sharp edges condensed into azure ice crystals. Demon weapons' evil blades spewed purple-black evil mist, intertwining with a hum, suddenly tearing open the sky. No good! Lu Zhao was horrified. Close to a 4th-rank sword array. Retreat quickly. The sword tide swept in like a tsunami. Everyone tacitly stopped fighting, fleeing forward. Their previous location, in an instant, turned into an unfathomable chasm under the pulverizing impact of the sword chi. Only upon retreating near the boundary marker of the sword pool did the sword array finally stop expanding, allowing everyone to find safety. Immediately, several Golden Core assassins attacked once again, with an even fiercer attack than before. It can't go on like this. Chan Sansi's arm started to go numb. If not for his foundation being far superior to other cultivators in the same realm, he would have long been killed by these people. He clearly knew what kind of consequence would follow if this continued, so he quickly began thinking of a countermeasure in his mind. Senior sister. Chun Sansi looked at the wild and raging sword array behind him, steeled his resolve, and shouted loudly with the slashing blade, "Follow me!" His long spear and dragon abyss crossed before him to block, leveraging the impact of the Mirage Abyss sea-suppressing ring to move backward. Then he suddenly turned and charged into the densely packed sword array. Jiang Xie, entangled with two other golden core cultivators, did not hesitate at all, fully trusting in her junior brother and following him into the sea of sword chi. "Are you crazy?" Lu Zhao was stunned. He wanted to pursue, but as soon as he got close, he was met with attacks from all directions by the sword array, retreating hastily. "Don't go!" Yu and Jiangyi wanted to charge in after them, but the sword chi left several bloody gashes on his glazed golden body as soon as he pushed forward. In the end, the four golden core cultivators could only watch as the two of them disappeared into the depths of the sword array. Within the sword array, countless flying swords, like locusts, formed a sea of sword chi, destroying all life between heaven and earth. Chun Sansi seemed like fish stuck in shallow water, struggling to move forward. One step shakes the Qian Palace with thunder and wind. The second turn transforms water at the Kan position. The third leap strikes the Zhen Mountain with golden clashes. The fourth thunder breaks the sword heart. He recited the incantation, narrowly avoiding sword edges time and again. The blind girl closely followed behind. Have you broken this sword array?" "No." Chun Sansi shook his head. This sword array's transformation was incredibly intricate. In such a short period, he had only observed the changes in the outer area. The core area remained completely unknown. But he knew that instead of being slowly worn to death outside, it was better to charge into the sword array seeking a variable. If it really didn't work, "I have me." Jiang Xie understood. If necessary, let the second senior sister fall into madness, break the sword array, and kill these old bastards. As for whether she could survive, it relied on luck. It was indeed a last resort, also truly an action taken out of desperation. 8 brings earth and sky to embrace 100 rivers. 9 slashes break spirit in an ethereal glade. 10. Damn it! After passing through the outer area, the sword array in front indeed underwent dramatic changes, losing any detectable pattern, and its sword chi became more powerful, suddenly rising to 4th rank, enough to inflict fatal damage on nascent soul cultivators. Even the sound of the sword hummed could cause severe damage to one's divine sense. In just an instant, his head split with pain, feeling as though his whole body was being sliced by countless blades. Jiang Xie, with blood-stained hands, grabbed the black silk ribbon in front of her, preparing to completely release the demon seed within. At this critical moment, everything around them suddenly came to a halt. Even the airflow ceased to be sharp and unstoppable, as if transitioning from the dead of winter to the warm sunshine of early spring. With Chun Sansi and her at the center, within a radius of 10 steps, the sword array stopped without any warning. Like time had stopped, the densely packed flying swords froze suspended above their heads and all around. This, Chun Sansi, already covered in wounds, held himself up with a long spear, looking up at the sight before him, a bit at a loss. Jiang Xie also paused her motion of grasping the silk ribbon, using her inner eye to carefully observe the scene. Chun Sansi stood still for a long time, realizing it was not the entire sword array that had stopped, but only the area within a 10-step radius around him. The rest of the area was still wreaking havoc. He tried to walk a few steps forward, and the range of stillness in the sword array also advanced by the same distance, automatically parting to open a path. The sword array wouldn't harm him? Why? Chun Sansi breathed steadily, closed his eyes to carefully sense, then took out a wooden token engraved with the words Guardian from his storage ring. It was the wooden token left by his master. The sword array here recognized it. He suddenly recalled that many years ago, in the 9 Nether Forbidden Ground, he had used a guardian token to control a boundary. That place was also under the territory of the Luoshao sect. Chun Sansi deduced that this wooden token probably served as a sect identity token, having a special purpose while also acting as a pass. He couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Just now, he almost faced a situation where he'd have to risk his life in a 9 lives gamble. Chun Sansi wasn't afraid of death, but he couldn't afford to die, as there were too many people who needed him to stand at the front. Let's go. He held the token, parted the vast array of flying swords, and led the blind girl, quickly moving forward. About 200 steps later, they finally left the sword array. What appeared before them was another sword tomb. But compared to before, the sword count in this sword tomb was greatly reduced, yet their quality had skyrocketed. Looking across roughly 100 or so flying swords, they were all of magical treasure grade used by core formation cultivators, with nothing mundane among them. The most crucial thing was, they were all intact. At the highest point, there were 12 flying swords with dazzling spirit lights, embedded in the black sand, emitting a pleasant hum. This black sand is Fu Shi black sand. Fu Shi black sand. Staring at the sand beneath the sword blade, Chun Sanshur confirmed repeatedly that it was indeed the golden body spiritual item he had been seeking. He did not approach rashly but suppressed his joy, shifting his gaze back to the sword blade. These 12 flying swords had reached the level of spiritual treasure, crookedly embedded in the soil. While spirit light surrounded them, wisps of sinister energy seeped out from the sword bodies. Save me! Save me! A faint call for help resounded. It's coming from within these swords. Chun Sanshur frowned, Dragon Abyss quietly gripped in his hand as he cautiously observed the changes ahead. He saw black mist rising over the flying swords, gradually forming into human shapes. They attempted to ascend, but chains extending from the sword bodies trapped them, unable to break free, eliciting anguished wails. After several unsuccessful struggles, the grimacing residual souls set their sights on the 2 living people ahead. In their eyes, Chun Sanshur discerned a strong sense of anticipation. Choose me. A residual soul with a hooked nose pounded his chest, declaring, Take me away. I am their senior brother, the strongest in Sword Dao. Nonsense. Another square-faced cultivator retorted, I was the champion leader of the previous generation of disciples. What use is a champion leader? Another one-armed residual soul remarked, If it weren't for my injury back then, would it be your turn? He shouted at the 2. Choose me. I am the one who understands Sword Dao the best. I can definitely teach a good disciple. Watching the quarreling nascent soul residuals, Chun Sanshur realized they seemed like goods, showcasing their strengths, waiting to be chosen by a customer. He took out the sword sheath. The argument between the residual souls indeed intensified. Honored seniors. Chun Sanshur raised his voice to interrupt them, asking, Could you first tell this junior what place this is? And why are you all vying to leave with me? The nascent soul residuals immediately quieted down, exchanging glances. Finally, in the corner, a frail, hollow-eyed cultivator pointed to a corner of the sword pool, saying, There is a record, see for yourself. In the muddy corner, beneath a layer of decaying leaves, Chun Sanshur used his sword to clear them away, revealing a stone slab beneath, inscribed with ancient ant-like text recording the origins of this secret realm. In ancient times, there was a Sword Dao sect named Sword Heart Valley, which was the champion leader of Sword Dao in the Heavenly Water Immortal Cultivation world. Renowned for the divine skill, all swords returned to the ancestor. At its zenith, Sword Heart Valley was truly a place where sword immortals thrived. Until later, when the Valley Master was ambushed and died, the 7 major sects besieged Sword Heart Valley. With no way out, they descended into madness, refining tens of thousands of disciples into sword demons, attempting to forge the legendary Tai-Yin soul-slaying sword, fortunately stopped in time by the major sects. However, the forging was mostly complete, and the sword demon's divine soul of the Valley Master couldn't be extinguished, ultimately being suppressed and sealed within the sword pool. Later, it was uprooted by the Luoshao sect and placed within the Luoshao Immortal Palace, guarded day and night. During this period, the Luoshao Immortal sect hadn't yet started a war with the cultivation world. The formation of this secret realm is thus. As for the 12 flying swords in front, Chun Sancher didn't guess wrong. They should be the 12 nascent soul saint heirs, mentioned on the stone tablet. Their bodies and nascent souls were refined into flying swords, leaving only partial residual souls eternally sealed within the sword blades, forced to become sword spirits. This bondage has lasted several 100,000 years in darkness without daylight. No wonder these beings are madly eager to leave. The residual soul with bugged eyes nervously said, "Young brother, just use your sword sheath to receive a spiritual treasure flying sword, and you can take me away. Go to hell." The hooked nose cursed, "Junior brother, you dare compete with me? The entry-level cultivation technique you learned at the start was handed down by me, your senior brother. Don't you know how to repay kindness? Where is the Tai-In soul-slaying sword?" The icy voice of the blind woman interrupted the quarrel. Tai-In sword. The hooked nose was momentarily stunned. "You want to find master? I can lead the way." The blind woman wasted no words, infusing a wisp of magic artifact power into the sword sheath, which immediately radiated golden light like a vortex, drawing a flying sword from the ground into it. As described on the stone tablet, in this way a residual soul can be subdued, serving as an artifact spirit in the future. Chun Sancher followed suit, capturing the junior brother's soul along with the flying sword into the sword sheath. Instantly, he sensed a connection with the flying sword, and by holding the sword sheath, he could control the sword spirit's life and death. Though becoming another's sword slave, the hooked nose and the thin man were still overwhelmingly excited. Finally leaving this hellish place. "Yi Juk, curse your ancestors." The hooked nose cursed to the sky. "Once outside, I'll slaughter all your descendants." Yi Juk. Chun Sancher recalled this name, a renowned elder of Bai Yujing in ancient times. Bai Yujing no longer exists. He informed, "You'll probably find no descendants of Yi Juk." "What?" The thin man first showed surprise, then joy. "Good. Serves them right. Really does." "No wonder," the hooked nose said dazedly. "Even Bai Yujing is gone. No wonder the Luoshao sect no longer exists either." "Enough small talk." Chun Sansi spoke. "Junior has 2 questions to ask. First, where is the Tai-In sword? Second, where is the exit of this place?" "Exit?" The skinny one replied. "The place you came from is the exit. If you want to leave, just return the way you came." "There's no second path?" Chun Sansi's heart tightened. He knew there were still 4 elderly assassins blocking the outside of the sword array. "What? You have enemies outside?" The hook-nosed man saw his concern, rolled his eyes, and then confidently said, "That's simple." "Oh." Chun Sansi met his gaze. "Does the senior have a method?" "Of course." The hook-nosed man said, "Even though we're both residual souls, inside us is the essence of Sword Tao from Sword Heart Valley. As long as we merge man and sword with you, we can elevate your power by a level in a short time." "Man and sword merge?" Chun Sansi squinted slightly, scrutinizing the other. "How does this merging work?" "I'll teach you. I'll recite the mantra. You just practice along." The skinny one was a little excited. The soul body floated to the front and chanted, "The sword hides in the mysterious obscure aperture. Divine travel to Taishu Gate. The 3 flowers gather the top. Qi penetrates the heavenly palace. 100 bones return to sword bone. 9 apertures transform to soldier soul. The profound vault realizes the great Tao. Man and sword are indistinguishable." "Hey, kid, why aren't you moving?" Chun Sansi listened carefully to the mantra, his pupils shrinking. He solemnly said, "Junior is dull. I don't understand." "Well, you're certainly dull enough." The skinny one gritted his teeth, but still said, "Listen, and I'll explain it to you properly." However, no matter how the 2 sword spirits explained, Chun Sansi just said he didn't understand. Terrible comprehension. The skinny one lost patience. Chun Sansi ignored him, bent down, and began to use the Dragon Abyss sword to gather the black sand on the ground, then stored it in the storage bag. Fushi black sand was mixed within the sand, naturally nurtured by the sword chi and evil chi of the sword tomb over thousands of years. After collecting all the black sand, he said, "Two seniors, please kindly think of another solution. If we can't exit the sword pool, I'm afraid you won't easily regain freedom either." Hearing there was no way to leave, the two sword spirits' expressions grew heavy. "Go to Master's sword cave." After a struggle, the hook-nosed man spoke. "Inside, there is spiritual liquid refined with heavenly repairing stone. Drinking it will allow your cultivation speed to advance rapidly. I see you're collecting Fushi black sand. You must be close to breaking through to the glazed golden body realm? 3 days. Taking the spiritual liquid, within 3 days, you'll break through the bottleneck. Is that true?" Chen Sansi was somewhat moved. They were being pursued, and behind them were not only 4 golden core cultivators but also Master Dongwei, a loose cultivator with a nascent soul. If trapped here too long, even that great formation of 10,000 swords couldn't ensure safety. The best solution would be to break through to the glazed golden body and charge out before the nascent soul arrives. "It's definitely true. Our lives are now bound to yours. Why would we lie?" The hook-nosed man added, "Right, the Taiyin sword you are looking for should also be in the sword cave. It's just..." Mentioning the Taiyin sword, the blind woman was moved. "Just what?" "It's just that the sword cave is truly dangerous." The hook-nosed man's expression turned fearful. "With your mere golden core realm, daring to approach is a 1 in 9 chance of survival." Jiang Xie ignored the warning and said coldly, "You said you would lead the way." Fine." The hook-nosed man gritted his teeth. "I'll lead you, but hurry before you too." A young lad already headed to the sword cave. Chen Sansi knew this too. When they arrived at the sword pool, they noticed the money toad had already been activated. "Then let's hurry." Outside the sword pool at the great formation of 10,000 swords, Lu Zhao and the others tried multiple times but couldn't pass the vast sword formation. This sword formation is so bizarre and violent. No nascent soul cultivator can break through it. Yuan Jiangyi put away a magical treasure, incredulously saying, "How did that kid pass through unscathed?" A rugged-looking female cultivator said in a deep voice, "That kid must have many secrets." "Old Lu," Yuan Jiangyi asked, "what should we do next?" Compared to the others, Lu Zhao was much calmer, hovering in the air, gazing into the distance. This sword pond secret realm, on the surface, doesn't have a second exit. We just need to wait here patiently. Besides, not long ago I already contacted Master Dongwei. He will come soon. By then, we will definitely break the sword formation. That Chun brat won't have a chance to escape. Deep in the sword pool, guided by 2 sword spirits, Chen Sansi and Jiang Xie moved deeper. The hook-nosed man followed, firmly saying, "Meeting me is your great fortune. I am the current chief disciple of Sword Heart Valley, possessing all the sect's cultivation techniques, and I'm omniscient. Following me will surely ensure a smooth, immortal path for you too." As they spoke, they crossed several sword tombs and arrived before a suspension bridge. The bridge was 30 zhang long, spanning a gorge with 9 black iron chains, with bronze plates engraved with sword patterns laid across them. Talismans suppressing evil chi were embedded in the center of each plate. The bridge had no railings, and black-purple sword chi roiled violently in the chasms on either side, even more ferocious than the great formation outside the sword pool. Heavenly Slaughter Sword Domain. Chun Sansi took out the guardian token, trying to approach, but it did not have the previous effect. "Two seniors," he asked, "how do you cross this suspension bridge?" When redeeming the Sealing Soul Sword scabbard with a Luo Shao coin, the shop clearly marked it was for crossing this Heavenly Slaughter Sword Domain. Heh! The hook-nosed man stroked his chin. This Heavenly Slaughter Sword Domain was the most challenging trial of Sword Heart Valley in the past, guarded by real sword spirits. Unless one is proficient in our sect's sword Dao, it's impossible to pass. Indeed, The skinny one agreed. To pass this trial, one must merge man and sword. Why not? I'll patiently teach you once more. You follow my instructions to operate your meridians. It will surely work. The sword hides in the mysterious obscure aperture. Divine travel to Taishu Gate. He was about to recite the heart method mantra, when Chun Sansi suddenly frowned, grabbed the sealing soul sword scabbard, and activated it, sending golden chains like arrows to pierce through the sword spirit's soul. The blind woman acted in concert, using the sealing soul sword scabbard's formation to heavily suppress the hook-nosed man. Ah! The sword spirits let out ear-piercing howls of pain. What are you doing? The hook-nosed man cried furiously. We taught you the secret of merging man and sword. Why repay kindness with vengeance? Merging man and sword? Chun Sansi sneered. Seniors, you merely took advantage of this junior's lack of experience to deceive me. The method of merging man and sword is probably a soul takeover method, isn't it? As he spoke, he increased the power of the ceiling. Ah! The souls of the two sword spirits began to crack, and they cried out for mercy. Please, spare us, we won't dare again. Was it true? Chun Sansi was furious. The sealing in the sealing soul sword scabbard began to crush the souls. Not being a novice, he couldn't easily trust others' techniques, and upon noticing the phrase "Chi penetrates the heavenly palace" in the mantra, meaning to open up the divine sense, he became cautious, and it turned out to be true. The last time, he spoke deliberately. How do we cross this suspension bridge? Easy, easy. The skinny one's soul began to crack like a porcelain. Trembling, he said, just follow the steps from our sex sword techniques to bypass the evil chi, and you can cross without hindrance. Just follow us across the bridge. Spare us. If we disperse into oblivion, no one will lead you across. Chun Sansi stopped, expressionless, and said, Lead the way. The hook-nosed man and the thin man moved in quick succession, displaying a rhythm containing the true essence of the sword Tao. Chun Sansi followed closely behind, and the group successfully avoided the evil chi, crossing the suspension bridge to the safe area. Spare me, spare me. The thin man sensed the killing intent and stammered out, I meant no harm to you. The reason I wanted to control your body temporarily was to help you escape this place, not to cause harm. Yes, yes. The hook-nosed man chimed in. Ahead lies the sword cave. You are no match for my master. Going there is the sure path to death. Chun Sansi focused on the key point and squinted as he asked, Senior, since you are the chief disciple, you should be highly regarded by the Valley Master. Why are you so afraid of him? I. The hook-nosed man stammered in explanation, saying, My master has already succumbed to demonic influence. He turned himself into a sword demon and melted tens of thousands of sect disciples into sword spirits. He is no longer in his right mind and doesn't care about us disciples. We must go regardless. Chun Sansi raised the sealing soul sword scabbard like a royal decree scroll. The two sword spirits, having suffered greatly, dared not resist and continued hesitatingly to lead the way. After navigating through several labyrinthine formations, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth suddenly became more abundant. Walking within it, Chun Sansi felt the spiritual energy becoming substantial. Even without cultivating, it would spontaneously nourish his physique. Fifth-rank spiritual vein. Only the 3 heavenly sects possess fifth-rank spiritual veins. Furthermore, the further they advanced, the higher the surrounding temperature became, and the spiritual energy began to blaze like fiery flames. Fire element spirit vein. Chun Sansi practiced immortal and martial dual cultivation. Both techniques were fire attribute. Being within felt like a dragon swimming amidst the flames. A cave appeared within their view. The cave was hidden deep within the volcanic rift valley, with rock walls overhead shrouded by crimson fire clouds. A giant sword's phantom image suspending down from the clouds, its tip dripping magma like bloody tears, inciting massive waves of molten flame. At the entrance stood 2 broken stone tablets. The left tablet charred black, inscribed, Burning Sky Forge Tao. The right tablet encrusted with frost crystals, inscribed, "Suppressing Evil." Between the tablets floated half a bronze sword sheath. Under extreme cold and heat, the sheath body was full of cracks, oozing wisps of crimson blood mist. "It's here," the hook-nosed man said. "This is the core place of our Sword Heart Valley. Master and the Tyene sword should be inside." Chun Sansi gazed at the cave entrance, noticing faint footprints on the ground. Sure enough, someone had arrived ahead. Clang! He held the Dragon Abyss sword in hand and stepped into the sword cave with full concentration. In an instant, scorching spiritual energy surged. The passage within the cave was spacious, rock walls lined with dark golden patterns, resembling molten metal veins meandering down to the depths. From ground fissures oozed green and purple spirit fires. The flames touched dense spiritual energy in the air and exploded into fire lotuses. Fifth-rank fire veins. The intense heat forced Jiang Xia, with her ice spirit root, to continuously shield herself with mana to proceed forward. But within 100 paces, the surrounding environment completely reversed. Passage rock walls and ground paved with frost. Frigid air penetrated to the bone. This place clearly the core of the fifth-rank fire veins area, yet still had extreme cold energy. After alternating more than a dozen times, these two energies completely mingled together, clashing, devouring, raising whirlwinds, unveiling a grand spectacle. Their path was barred, leading to a towering cliff, below it a boundless sea of flames. A magma pool with a diameter of several hundred zhang boiled like blood. 9 profound ice chains extending from the pool bottom, piercing through a giant all-black sword, Tyene soul-slaying sword. At its sword guard embedded a red crystal stone, each inhaling of spiritual energy causing the stones to spew lava, eroding the chains. On the chains engraved demon suppression inscriptions, triggering earth vein cold energy to counterattack, ice and fire clashing, igniting countless sparks. Beside the pool stood 5 beast-head copper cauldrons, corresponding to the attributes of the 5 elements, each respectively containing Li fire essence, millennium mystic ice, residual Jianmu root, gung metal or marrow, residual soil. The 5 copper cauldrons linked through spiritual patterns forming formations, converting fire vein spiritual energy into sealing energy. Yet 3 of the cauldrons had tilted, Li fire essence shrunk to walnut size, formation light flickering. As the steel recorded, the deepest part of the sword cave was a great formation sealing the valley master of Sword Heart Valley. But due to long years, the seal clearly had loosened, with the threat of collapse at any moment. "This is the Tyene soul-slaying sword." The hook-nosed man hid behind, his expression filled with trepidation. The blind woman lightly tapped on tiptoe, crossing the 100 zhang flame sea, arriving atop the sealing stone platform. Chun Sansi followed closely. Observing the Tyene soul-slaying sword closely, he found it contained a pure evil energy, which perfectly counteracted the purest demonic energy within his senior sister's body. Evidently, the reason the blind woman came here was to borrow the Tyene soul-slaying sword to suppress the demon seed within her. Moreover, Chun Sansi did not see the sword demon supposedly sealed within, but instead spotted a trace of dried blood at the sword hilt. He frowned slightly, looking at the sword spirit hiding nearby, and asked, "How can the demon sword be drawn? How would I know?" The thin man replied, "This seal was implemented years ago by Yujing people. How to draw the sword, probably only they know." The blind woman extended her fair hand gripping the sword hilt, recalling her ice attribute mana, attempting to directly uproot it. In the end, the Tyene soul-slaying sword remained still. "Let me try." Chun Sansi came before the sword, aligning his torso and limbs, gathering and exploding his mana and true power, as veins bulged on his arms. No matter how hard he tried, the demon sword wouldn't budge an inch. After several fruitless attempts, Chun Sansi turned his gaze towards the seal, but the power of the seal was so high that he couldn't accurately judge its grade. Even though it was close to collapsing, it was definitely not something he could unravel. In the end, he could only temporarily give up on the idea of drawing the sword. Chun Sansi then asked, "What about the heavenly repairing stone spirit liquid?" Now that the golden body spiritual items were all gathered, if all else failed, He might as well use the heavenly repairing stone spirit liquid to quickly break through the bottleneck, and then find a way to pull out the sword. It's in the closed chamber opposite. The thin man pointed to the other side of the sea of lava. Back then, the master destroyed all the elixirs and cultivation techniques in Sword Heart Valley at the last moment to prevent the inheritance from falling into others' hands, leaving only the heavenly repairing stone spirit liquid for refining the sword. The Tyene soul-slaying sword was not completely refined. There should still be some heavenly repairing stone spirit liquid left. Transforming into a light of escape, Chun Sansi landed on the other side within a few breaths. Following the instructions, he indeed found a stone chamber at the end. However, when he opened it, it was empty inside. The shelves were covered in dust. The materials had long lost their spiritual nature, and there were fragments of destroyed transmission jade slips. Like the entrance to the sword cave, there were obvious signs that someone had been here. "I didn't lie to you," the thin man quickly explained. "It's obvious someone took it." "Indeed," the hook-nosed man added. "You came too late." Chun Sansi looked towards the corner of the secret chamber and spoke in a deep voice. "Since my fellow Taoist is here, why hide? Why not come out and meet?" On their journey, be it the sword tomb, sword cave entrance, or the Tyene soul-slaying sword just now, there were traces left by someone. Finally, they met at the end of this secret realm. Just as I intended, a masked cultivator in a light blue magic robe emerged from the wall, blocking the secret chamber's exit with a flying sword in hand. Through the Qi observation skill, Chun Sansi deduced that the other party's realm was roughly at the late-stage foundation establishment, without a golden core in his body. "Both Taoists have come at the right time." The masked cultivator cupped his hands and said, "I need some help from both of you." "Oh!" Chun Sansi didn't let his guard down just because the other party displayed a foundation establishment realm. For the other party to show up in front of two golden core cultivators, he must have something to rely on, and having gained the upper hand in the secret realm, no one knew if he had obtained any trump cards. He didn't act rashly. "Why don't you tell us, fellow Taoist?" "I wish to ask you." The masked cultivator paused, then quickened his speech. "To destroy the 12 flying swords forged from the Sword Heart Valley Saint Heirs in your possession, so that the 12 Saint Heirs will be annihilated." Upon hearing this, the hook-nosed man and the thin man erupted in anger, cursing. "Who are you, beast, with no grievance or enmity? Why so vicious, wanting us to be annihilated and never reincarnate? Young man, kill this person. He is merely a foundation establishment." "Quiet," Chun Sansi coldly scolded, and the two immediately fell silent. He looked at the masked cultivator and asked, "Why?" "Moreover, I can only control the life and death of 2 sword spirits. Afraid I can't manage the others." "It's a long story. Just do as I say, fellow Taoist," the masked cultivator said. "As for the method, as long as you vow to the heavenly Tao not to break your word, I will naturally inform you." "Why must I do it?" Chun Sansi showed no expression. "What if I refuse?" "Then," the masked cultivator sighed, "we'll die here together. I can make it happen." Listening to the other party's tone, Chun Sansi felt that he was not only confident but also resolute. Unfortunately, he was not frightened easily and said with a smirk, "This fellow Taoist is really interesting, asking us for help but only using threats, without any sincerity in asking for a favor. If your excellency continues to be so rude, don't blame me for breaking the harmony." "I apologize." After a moment of hesitation, the masked cultivator fumbled a jade-green porcelain bottle out of his arms and said, "I won't let you help for nothing. If you agree to my terms, I'll give you half of the heavenly repairing stone spirit liquid I found here, and also tell you the method to pull out the Tyene soul-slaying sword. How does this sincerity sound to fellow Taoist?" Chun Sansi reached out and caught the porcelain bottle, opened it, and used his divine sense to probe inside, finding indeed it was a highly pure spiritual liquid. The quantity was very little, only a bottle bottom. He probed, "Your Excellency has not said why you want to destroy the 12 flying swords, and why not do it yourself?" The masked cultivator asked, "Must I say?" "Must say." Helping was one thing, but Chun Sansi would not be willing to be kept in the dark. Buzz! The masked cultivator took out a dark red crystal, inside which rolled thick, ink-like evil chi. At the crystal's core, faintly visible, was a soul. This soul, with the main face like a young scholar, had blood-colored demon patterns spreading from his neck, a broken bone sword embedded at his forehead, which was entwined with dark golden chains, and the end of the chains extended into the golden rune within the crystal's inner wall. Under everyone's gaze, he suddenly revealed scarlet vertical pupils, without any other action. Within the narrow crystal, infinite extreme sword chi burst forth in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. The crystal ball hummed. The spiritual energy in the entire secret chamber was drawn, boiling like boiling water. Master above! The hook-nosed man and the thin man's soul bodies heavily knelt on the ground, unable to stop kowtowing, to express sincerity. They deliberately used mana to briefly condense their physical form, shattering the bluestone slabs on the secret chamber floor to pieces. Master, let us explain. The events of the year were not as you imagine. Inside the crystal, the young scholar remained silent, merely watching these two residual souls quietly. Obviously, he was the Valley Master of Sword Heart Valley. You both have seen, it's not me wanting to kill these sword spirits, but at the Valley Master's request. The masked cultivator narrated leisurely. Back then, Sword Heart Valley was besieged. This Valley Master Senior and the sect disciples shared a common enemy, preparing to sacrifice himself to forge the Tai-In demon sword, to perish together with other sects. But who would have thought the Valley Master's most trusted 12 Saint heirs betrayed him, tampering with the array, leading to a failed result and the sect's destruction. The Valley Master was trapped within the Sword Cave, enduring hundreds of thousands of years of endless darkness and a fate worse than death. This time, by coincidence, I found the soul-suppressing demon pill in the secret realm, extracting the Valley Master soul, preparing to leave this place and follow the Valley Master in cultivating the Sword Heart Valley's secret arts. In exchange, the senior wishes for me to destroy the 12 flying swords. But this can only be done by cultivators above the golden core, and my cultivation is shallow, hence I ask for your help. After explaining the origins and developments, some doubts in Chun Sansi's heart were resolved. No wonder. The two sword spirits beside him had behaved so upon seeing their master. It turned out they were traitors of Sword Heart Valley. As for the soul-suppressing demon pill in his hand, it was probably what the money toad shop labeled as 1 in 10,000. Both fellow Taoists, don't think about seizing the demon pill, the masked cultivator emphasized. I have already recognized the demon pill as its master, and it cannot be changed. If you forcibly take it, I can only let the Valley Master possess me. Although the Valley Master has been suppressed for years, he was truly a sword immortal back in the day, and if a fight breaks out, neither of you may have much chance of survival. And I would naturally be possessed. So, either we reap benefits together, or perish together. I hope both fellow Taoists consider carefully. Your Excellency has quite the audacity. Chun Sansi knew he was not fated for this demon pill and naturally would not force it. After pondering, he suddenly increased the power of the sealing soul sword scabbard to its maximum, directly slaughtering the sword spirit, while also giving the other party an answer. I have always preferred peace and profit. No, master. Listen to my explanation. The remaining hook-nosed man still wanted to struggle but was similarly slain by the female blind using the sword scabbard.